Well, hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome. I'm so glad you all can join for a really fun tour. I am so excited to share this with you. I think this is probably the most requested thing that I get asked about, not only on Instagram, but through my YouTube lives is what does your apartment look like? Because I show little snippets, you guys see things, you show interest in all the things that I collect on Instagram and I share. So I just thought this would be a really good time to showcase kind of all the things how I have them displayed. And I didn't film a video for this because I thought how much more fun would it be if you guys could ask questions and interact with some of my displays and things live, because there's so many stories behind all of these collections and things that I have, and I just wanted to share that with everybody. So we'll wait a few minutes for everybody to get in. I am standing by my front door. Now I've got this set up vertical so that I can see all the comments. If I turn it horizontally, the comments are cut off a little bit. So I can do that if it's easier for you guys to see. But if this works okay for now, we'll keep it vertical. So just let me know how that is appearing, because I'm streaming from my phone, so that I can do, a little bit better job touring you around. So just let me know. Desert Gal is here. Welcome in, Desert Gal. Really glad you're here. Now, I can't highlight, I think, her comments. When I'm live from my phone, they don't pop up on the screen. So I'll just read them aloud. Isles is here. Welcome in. Karen is here. Amy, welcome, welcome. Michelle is here. Sharon Spencer. It looks like Liz Thompson is in the chat. Welcome in. So many wonderful friends. And hello to everybody hanging out in the Lurkers Lounge in the back tonight, just watching, not commenting. Glad to have you all here. We've got Debbie K in. Mary Rinks is in the house. Welcome in. Pammy is here. Gosh, so many great names. Good to see you all. I'm thrilled that you are joining this live tour. It is so fun. Yes, Vertical is working right now for Karen. So everyone who can comment, please let me know how that is viewing for you all. Frank just texted me that he's watching my live. Hi, Frank. I love you. Frank is the wonderful genius behind my logo and intro. If you guys get packages from me during my weekly live sales, you will get a little Happy Mail sticker that is designed by my best friend, Frank. He is so talented, and he actually has a YouTube channel that he's just started doing his animations on, and he has a whole series on the history of the Titanic. He told me, I think the other day, it took him 9 hours to do just a couple of frames. So if you want to support him and could support him by just watching or going over and commenting, that would be great. Frank, if you're here, still here, put your link in, because I think that you're amazing. And, I love to support art. So that's huge. Mom is in the house. Welcome in. Frank is very talented. Yes. At DM7761 from Canada, welcome in. Glad you're here. Yes, hello, all of our vintage friends. Glad you're tuning in. All right. Well, we've got 36 people thus far, so I think we'll just start kind of in my entryway. I am going to flip the camera around so you guys can see a little bit better. And forgive me, I have done this, but not in a while. So let's see how I can flip. Nope, that's maximize. All right, hang on. Layout. Nope, that's all good. Camera. Ah, we got it. Okay, let's see. Yay, there, we're flipped around. Awesome. Okay, yes, this is it. So we're just going to start right here in my entryway. And it's going to take me a little while to get used to where this camera is pointing. Let me see if I can adjust. Let's see. Yeah, let's do, oh, that's an ultra wide. No, I don't think we want that. No, that, let's see, back dual wide. There we go. Maybe this is just a little bit better. All right, how is this looking for everybody in the chat? Can you guys see? Nan, welcome in. Glad to have you here. Okay, just let me know how this is looking and we'll get started. Now, this is my entryway wall. There's like a little cubby when you come in here. Um, and yeah, I have to point this way. Okay, so the this is the front door. Now, the funny thing about this is actually not part of the tour really, but I just wanted to point it out because it's hilarious. This is actually for your back. But a lot of people think it's a coat hanger. It is not. So if you ever come over, just enjoy that for your for your back. But this is my entryway. I'm so happy with this little corner. I have this wonderful table here that was in my grandparents' basement, and it belonged to my great grandfather's sister, Marjorie. And I think it's just absolutely beautiful. The carved legs, the ball and claw feet with the little wheels, and it does fold out, so I could actually use it as a bigger table if I wanted to, but it's just fit perfectly in this little space here for me to put all of my little treasures. Now, when I was with Cindy, Mimi's Treasure Cottage, we found this mirror together, and it is so cool. It's from the 1920s. I believe 20s, 30s, somewhere in that era. And it is for ankle and shapely feet, which is hilarious. So this was some sort of sword display. Slip into the daintiest shoe. Can you imagine? That's just crazy. But I love the colors, and the advertisement on this mirror is just awesome. And then I've picked up all kinds of things. This is a really amazing 1930s lamp. Now, let me show you the sides of it because it has, I don't know if you guys can see, I'm trying to figure out where to point the camera. There we go. A little sunburst on the side here, which is such a cool detail. And it does turn on. There is actually not an outlet by this door. So when I moved into this apartment, I had to route the cord, which you'll see all the way up here and down the hall just so that I can plug in my vintage lamp, which is worth it because I love it. And then I've got all these wonderful little things. This is an old key display from a hardware store filled with keys that I've been collecting probably since I was 7 or 8 years old. That was one of the first things I started collecting was keys. And then as I grew into collecting more industrial things, well, the keys just fit perfectly on this display. And I love this luggage key rack. I think it's just so fantastic. It's probably one of only a few that still exist. I would guess. I don't see them come up for sale very often. I bought this from a gentleman on eBay, and he told me that he finally made friends with someone in their town that had a when they were closing, and he bought it from this gentleman, and it had literally just been kept the same. So I have his whole story that he wrote printed, and I have it taped to the back. But this is my favorite key, these little luggage keys with the little hats. I don't know if you guys can see it, but he's so cute. And this is for the classic American tourister luggage. I love that. And then I have some other padlock and neat related things here in this little area. Now, this is my hallway that leads into the living room. And over here, I have just another little hallway that leads to my office, which you guys have seen with the Coke wall and my record room. So on this wall, I have a collection of really unique things. My favorite being this original Rocky Horror Picture Show that is my all-time favorite movie. And I am thrilled that I was able to find an original poster and I had it framed, which is just great. This is also a really neat bookcase that I bought at Salvation Army of all places for just a couple of bucks. And it's I think, probably earlier children's bookcase. And it fits all of the displays of research books I have just perfectly. So I love coming in here and being able to pull out a book and read about a particular topic or look something up. Now, my favorite piece, probably on this entire wall, is this parking meter. And if you've been around for a while, you probably know the story of it, but it is a pretty fabulous one. I purchased this. Hi, Joan. Welcome in. Glad to see you. I purchased this from a gentleman in St. Augustine, and he got it from a guy whose mother backed over it in the 50s in New York City and was absolutely terrified something was going to happen to her. So she threw it in the back of her son's truck, covered it up with a blanket, and they've had it in their family home for decades. And it ended up in this little antique shop in St. Augustine, and I bought it. And what I think is so fun about it is it got stuck in the violation position. So you can see that it's just like it was when the lady backed over it. So, and then they mounted it, the antique dealer, onto this little stand, which is perfect for it. So that is really fun. I also have some great books here, and this is one of note that I got in an estate sale, and I think you all will appreciate it. It is an early book of social business forms, and look at the cover on this. It's absolutely incredible. I don't actually know a lot about antique books or the specific value, but this is from December 25th, 1894. And I just wanted to show you the inside of this because it is just gorgeous. The engravings on here are stunning. There's all kinds of, you can see different ways to write forms of bookkeeping, letter writing, bank scripts. I mean, it's just unreal. Tables of interest. So I think that this probably is pretty valuable. And they have a whole section on form writing etiquette that's just insane. Look at the dinner table. I mean, absolutely crazy the engravings in here. So, this is a real treasure trove of a book. And I paid $4 for this at an estate sale. And it's probably one of the best things from an estate sale that I have picked up. So, one day we can go through this completely because it is just chock full of really interesting and amazing things. And from that same estate sale, I bought this beautiful Photographs of the World book that's just insanely stunning. So that is a favorite as well. Welcome in, Dennis. Glad you made it in. We just started. The parking meter is a great story indeed. Now, this hallway leads into my bedroom and my living room and kitchen. And I've really had a lot of fun with this hallway. It is narrower. So it was kind of a challenge filling or choosing, I should say, furniture that would fit in this space and also what to do with all of this vertical wall space. Now, as you know, I lived in another apartment and I had a huge collection of oil cans, and I still do. And one of my friends, who's very, very talented at hanging unusual things, who has done a lot of work for giant bank buildings downtown and huge homes. He hung something for the guy that owns the car that was featured on the front of the Beatles album cover, the not Beatles, I'm sorry, Beach Boys album cover with the classic, the Surfing USA car. He hung a giant industrial sign in that guy's garage. So he's just hung some really cool things. And so I said, Bucky, I have these oil cans. What can we do with them? And my mom had the idea that they would be great on the wall. And so Bucky came over and he made this happen. So he mounted, I don't know how many are here, probably at least 15 oil cans down the hall of my apartment. And they are so cool. So I love them. They are a wonderful thing. And I think they really make a dramatic impact when you come into the apartment. Nothing is boring here, let me tell you. Hi, Betty Mac. Glad you're here. This is a wonderful cabinet that I bought from one of my friends, Ruben, at a local antique mall. If you're ever in town, you got to go to Fans and Stoves. They are wonderful people, and they own this mall. And I had been eyeing this case ever since they had it for a jewelry display in their store. And when they were downsizing and they moved buildings, they had this for sale, and I just couldn't pass it up because it was the perfect spot to put all of my typewriter ribbon tins. So I have a whole collection of these. And I mean, there are so many more I would love to acquire, but um, there were thousands of these made, which is pretty amazing when you think of it, because back then, typewriters were the main way that people were able to type things before computers. And what I love specifically about a couple of tins in here is the history. So I'm going to point out two tins. One is this tin right here. I don't know if you guys can see it, it's flat. This is the earliest typewriter ribbon tin I have because it is the earliest one to exist. Before ribbons were actually sold on spools, they came in these flat ribbon boxes. So imagine the ink typewriter ribbon was just loose and it was in this, and then you had to get your hands all inky and thread it through. And then Remington, the company that manufactured these, had another company that was making the typewriter ribbons for them, which was Underwood. And Underwood came out, and I believe it was Underwood, but they came out and they said, you know what? We don't like this. This is a mess. Terrible idea. Let's actually standardize typewriter ribbons and make them half-inch size and sell them in round spools so that they're easier for people to put onto the typewriter. Well, Remington didn't like it. They thought that was bad and they kind of had a falling out. And there's a really neat story there. But what came from it was the standardized typewriter ribbon. So all of the round tins that you're seeing are what we, round and square, are what we know when we think of typewriter ribbon. So it's really cool to have these earlier ones. And then previous to the half-inch ribbon, there's the bigger ribbon tins that were 1 1/2 inches sold on like giant ribbon spools. And those are here. So up at the top. So really fun little history on typewriter ribbons. It's been a while since I've shared some of that history, so you can Google that. But it's just wonderful having them in this lighted case. Another thing that I love is this display. This is an old rubber band display, pretty early. And what's cool about it is it not only displays rubber bands in various sizes. Check out the back on this piece. It is absolutely, if I don't just, oh no. Let's see. That's okay. This just came loose. No panic, guys. It displays pencils or advertises pencils from this company on the back. So I think that is just so cool. Hi, Rachel. Welcome in. So yeah, this is a real treasure. This is pretty early. It has a wooden bottom. And I got this from one of my favorite advertising dealers in California. So there's a lot of great Instagram advertising people you'll hear me talk about throughout this tour because I've made some really fabulous friends with people that love the same thing I do. So it is easy to shop. But this came from Dorset Finds out in California. So they're great. And then this piece here is really neat. This Coca-Cola piece, it came from a train station in Georgia. And it was made for a giant ice box that would have shipped Coca-Colas to the train station during the war era, so 1940s. But the train station, just like with anybody back then, didn't want to throw anything away and they needed a sign to post all their train times. So on the back of this, and I don't think I can get it down one handed very safely, but I'll try to show the back. On the back of this particular piece, you might be able to kind of see, maybe not very well, these slots that they had hand drawn in chalkboard that they had attached to the back of this pretty heavy duty masonite to use as the train time board for the train station, which is really cool. So this was another piece I got from my friend Ruben, and I think the history is awesome. Hi, Cindy. Welcome in. Glad you're tuning in with us. Another couple of neat things along this wall that I'll share is this piece here, the National Theater Company box. Now, this has a very cool story. If you remember the videos I shared of me going to the San Marco Theater in Jacksonville and being able to take some things out of the theater when it was closing, this came from that theater. So I used to go there all the time when I was a kid. They're a theater that was built in 1933, I believe, in the 30s, and it was done by Roy C. Benjamin. He was the architect that designed not only that theater, but Florida Theater and Sunray Cinema, which had a different name back in the day. But that theater over in Riverside was the first theater to have sound back in the 20s. So it was a really big deal, this architect, and he created some beautiful Art Deco spaces, and San Marco Theater was a great example of that. So when they were closing, I was there for their last movie, and I overheard the woman, just happened to overhear her talking about, oh, the giant projector in the lobby. We don't know what to do with it, but we're having this auction and hopefully someone will come. You know me, I heard auction and was like, when, how do I get there? So I came to the auction and the lady goes, um, anybody can come, just come at this time, Tuesday. I think it was like at 9 in the morning. I get there, nobody's there. The theater's locked up, the doors are boarded. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. No one's here. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I was about to leave. And then these guys came out from a giant white van. And I'm like, oh, someone got here before me. I assumed, first of all, when they said auction, it was going to be like an auctioneer that had curated pieces because this theater was, a big part of community history for decades. So I assumed that they would have people coming to buy things, but it wasn't the case. And the people that got out of the car, they were only there for the refrigerators and stoves and stuff because they did offer pizza and some food type items, and they wanted them for their game store. So I basically got to go in and take anything that I wanted out of the theater. I think I paid $30 for everything as long as I could remove it. And the guy's like, you can have it. So I was up in the fire doors of this theater, taking the brass knobs off of these beautiful doors. I was climbing up on ladders, removing the exit signs. Like, I was there all day and it was fantastic. And one of the things that took the longest to get, and the guy was very surprised I wanted it, was the box that operated the projector. But I mean, what a cool piece of history that would have just been lost to time had someone like me not come in and saved it. So this is the door to the projector, the one that was upstairs. And then this is the box itself that operated the projector. Now, what's cool is, see these holes in the bottom here? There were cables the size of this hole that I had to cut through. So it took me about 5 hours, but I did finally get this thing off the wall once we tested to make sure it wasn't still, electronically charged. And it's now here in my front entryway. So I love it. I think it's so cool. It's just fantastic. No, you're not at all, Raven. We're just getting started. And then Angela, guys, she moderates for us, does some wonderful things in our sale. You've seen her around YouTube. Dear Angela's Vintage. She actually shipped this to me from Illinois. We both follow an antique mall up there, and I said, I got to have this clock. And she drove all the way up there, got it, shipped it to me. She said it was a pain to ship because I told her, I said, oh, I think these things remove, because a lot of the Starburst clocks, you can remove the arms. This one did not have removable arms. So poor Angela, but she got it here safely and it's fabulous. Um, Angela's here. She knows. This is another great piece. This theater chair came from Florida Theater, which was another theater that Roy Benjamin designed. And so I love that I have the theater chair that kind of goes with all of these wonderful little things here. This cabinet here is a old house spot cabinet, probably from the 40s. And it houses all kinds of wonderful little collections. So the top here is all pharmaceutical related things. My grandfather's dad, so my great grandfather's dad, his cousin, Evelyn Nunley, her husband, was a pharmacist. And so I'm very lucky and fortunate to have a lot of his pharmacy bottles. So this is kind of what lies as part of his collection up here. This is one of my favorites. It's a Unicap multivitamin bottle. And I love the little dimples in the top. I don't know if you guys can see that. Really unique bottle. I was just delighted to get these things. Now, some of these I have also added as part of the collection. that goes kind of along with them. Like this bottle here is an old eyedropper bottle, and I love the shape of it. Kind of looks like lips. And I just think it's so interesting. So I that's a really cool piece that's part of this little collection of bottles and shaving cream, and then of course deodorant. Misty, thrifter, junker, vintage hunter, you guys all know her. She did a little video one time talking about how it's fun to put weird things in your bathroom that kind of make people go, "What is that?" And I always thought how cool to have a collection of sample deodorant jars, because when people come in, that is probably one of the more unique items that I have here in this display, that when people pick them up, they're probably like, "Ooh, that's unique." And I also love this pharmacy scale. I got this from Eco Relics, and they bought it from a dealer out of France, so it's been authenticated. It's a French pharmacy scale. The last time it was serviced was in the 70s, but it's definitely much older than that. It has its original hammered, I think copper probably, bowls that I just love. I think this is so cool. So that's my little pharmacy display. And then, kind of going not related to the pharmacy, but along with the advertising theme, I have this wonderful collection of little wire spools. Now, most people will see these at antique malls or different things and pass them up. But if you're a reseller, take some time. Not all of them are valuable, of course, but take some time and look them up, because the graphics on them, and depending what company they're advertising, really actually can be quite valuable. This one here is probably the most unique one that I have. It's worth about $100, and it's a Meteor Brooklyn, New York electric wire spool. Now, these were used for like radio wires, TV things, automotive cables, various things that you need small wires for. And I just think they're so cool. Like, this is a tiny radio wire spool, and look how little he is. I mean, what a cool little thing to have. So, they're all fun and they're all unique. This one came from England, and I've never seen anything like it before, so I don't know its value. This is another favorite of mine with the little globe on the bottom, and you'll see that as a theme. I love globes and lightning bolts and playing cards. Those are some of the motifs I love in vintage advertising. The graphics are so good. They are. There's a place in, I'm trying to think where it is in Orlando, but my friend took me to it, and it's basically like an architectural salvage yard, but not for architecture, for computer parts and wires and tools and like circuit boards. And it's a weird place, but people that make things or do electronic repairs, like, this is their nirvana. And it was so cool, but they had a bunch of these wire spools, and the guy, I asked to buy them because everything is done by the pound, so it's very inexpensive. And the guy goes, "Oh, that's a weird request. We usually just reuse these. Like, we've never been asked for that before." But they unrolled, they had to put all the wire, bless them, on a wire roller to transfer it to another spool so I could buy the individual spools. So that was a fun adventure that day for sure. Uh no, I don't. I do some light dusting, and my friend Pam, you guys all know Pam, she got me into the compressed air. So I take a compressed air sprayer and do that. And I just had someone come in not too long ago, and they, oh, were so great. A house cleaner, she dusted every surface, but she took pictures of everything and put it back exactly like it was. I was so nervous, but she did a great job. Um, this is another, section of fun displays. I have lots of advertising cans. I specifically love anything that's hardware related. My grandfather was an electrical engineer for IBM on my mom's side, and then on my dad's side, his grandpa, my great grandfather, Grandpa Lukens, was oh man, he invented all kinds of things, but he worked with refrigeration and all kinds of little small projects. Anything that he could invent, he invented. They had an apple cooler in their basement that kept apples at 68 degrees all year round. He had some of the first refrigerators for ice cream in their town in Heron, Illinois, and I think he was a real pioneer in that. I can't prove anything for sure, but so I have a lot of his toolboxes and things down here. This is something that my dad gave me that was one of his socket wrenches that we used growing up to put stuff together. So I'm very happy to have things like that in this display. And then on the bottom, I'll show you a couple of really cool things down here. So this display is all typewriters and adding machines and books and all kinds of things. But the most unique typewriter, besides my Oliver typewriter, which I'll tell you about in a minute, is this typewriter here. Now, my other grandparents on my mom's side, the one that was an electrical engineer, his dad owned a radio station. It was the first radio station in Southeast Missouri. And his secretary typed on this particular typewriter. But what's cool about it is she entered in apparently typing competitions and won several typing competitions in Missouri on this typewriter. So I'm very honored to have that. Now, this typewriter here, the Oliver, is a really unique typewriter because it's the first typewriter that was manufactured where you could actually see what you're typing. So typewriters previous to this, you couldn't see when the letter was struck onto the page, which created a lot of problems for people. So this was actually invented by a pastor, and I don't remember his name. You can look him up, look up the history of Oliver typewriters, but he invented this where the type bars, you see, they come from the side so that when they would strike the page, you could actually see what you were typing, which is really, really cool. My husband and brother just gave him their grandfather's old wooden toolbox filled with tools, some from his dad, but we had fun looking through. Oh, that's awesome, Cindy. Do you have any business machines made by Frieden? I don't think so. This is a check writer, an early check writer, and I forget who made this. Let's take a look at it. I can't quite see the name on the brass plate at this moment, but it doesn't look like Frieden. It's an index check writer. Um, there was a guy that we had here, Cindy knows because she was here actually when I got the Oliver typewriter. But his name was Bill. He owned a typewriter repair shop. And that's where I got those two machines from. Unfortunately, Bill has since passed away and the typewriter shop has been sold, but they had some fantastic things in the shop. Okay, so now we're moving on into the main part of my house. This is my kitchen, my living room, all these wonderful things in here, and the other Coca Cola wall, which you guys don't get to see too often, but this is a fun wall. No worries, Pam. Definitely watch the replay. This wall is one of my favorite walls in the apartment. I think I'm an avid collector of Coca Cola, as you guys know, and probably my favorite piece on this wall has to be this round sign here. There's a real story behind this, as with many of my things, but this is called a watermelon sign from 1933. And what makes it watermelon is kind of the colors. It kind of looks like a slice of watermelon on the side. These don't come up too often for sale, and this is what they call a tin tacker sign. So a lot of signs you'll see are porcelain, sort of like, you've got your button here that's a more tin, and then you have other pieces that are porcelain that you'll see enamel, and then you see the flange signs that come out from the side of the wall. But these are tackers because they literally had holes in them where the store owners could tack them, to a wall. So I bought this from a guy on eBay for $50. And it was a gamble because I thought, well, either this guy doesn't know what he has, or It's a fake that has been distressed, unfortunately, like a lot of people are doing, and it's a fake sign. Either way, I'm only out $50. And if it's real, I've just scored the most fabulous deal to ever exist. So I took this when it came into my friend at one of my local antique malls who buys all the Coca Cola buttons for Cracker Barrel. He does a lot of sourcing for them. And it's kind of amazing that I even am saying that out loud. But I talked with him. He deals specifically in a lot of Coca Cola stuff. And he goes, yeah, that's a real sign. That's the authentic deal. So I messaged the guy on eBay and I was like, so where did you get this sign? He goes, well, my neighbor's barn washed away and we found thousands of signs in the walls and they all washed into my yard and I didn't know what to do with them. And I'm just so sick of selling these. I've been giving them away at the flea market. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, what does this guy have? And he's been listing a few on eBay. So clearly he had no idea the value of these. Now, the condition obviously isn't great, but people did back in the day take things and put them in between walls instead of throwing them away for insulation. So it's a really cool sign, and I'm just glad to have it. I know, I do, Pam. I will be working on that. I actually saw someone that had a number system for all their antiques, and then people could correspond the number to, a catalog system with a story. So that would be really cool. Yeah, Cracker Barrel is the main reason, to be honest, that these Coca-Cola buttons, these are called button signs, are pretty much rare and hard to find. You know, there's a lot of them now that are in museums, of course. People have them in collections. They're very iconic to Coke, so people want them. But Cracker Barrel has bought up a lot of button signs. So, that's why they're hard to find. This, obviously, the condition is not as great on this, so the value on it will be lower, but it's a smaller button which you usually see the larger ones. So this is a really cool little find as well. I picked up this and that wonderful early double Coke bottle thermometer from the yard sale, the 127 yard sale, which was great. So, and this sign here does have the American Artworks Inc. Coshocton, Ohio, 1933 mark. So that's always good to look out on these old signs for the marks. Really check to see that they're there. This one also has, it's very hard to see, and I don't know if I can find it quickly on the live, but somewhere down here it does have a mark. Now, on these signs, particularly the buttons and then some other signs, you'll see different companies that made them, and you will see a date code. So this was manufactured in 1961, and it's this company here, but American Artworks Inc., they did a lot of the Coca-Cola trays and some of the tin tacker signs. So when you see that mark, unless someone has really done a good job faking it, most likely it is authentic. Definitely look at the back, of the signs. Make sure that nothing looks painted or off, or, the rusting isn't good, that kind of thing. This sign here I got from Misty, Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter, and you can see that it's been cut. At one point, this probably was a flange sign, and this is the iconic fishtail sign. This design is what they call that from Coca-Cola, and I also have a fishtail menu board that would have been in an old diner. So very cool things. This sewing machine is very special. This belonged to my mom's mother's mother, so my great grandmother, and she did all of her sewing on here, and she was quite an amazing quilter. She did a wonderful job making quilts, and in fact, she'd have these quilting parties, and after, of course, everybody left, she would go back and fix the stitches that were not to her standards. So I thought that was really cool. But this is a wonderful photo of my great grandmother, Esther. There she is. Doesn't she look beautiful? She was probably 20 years old in this photo. And there's my grandmother here. Grandma Bev. So I've got some really great photos of them on the sewing machine. And pretty much, guys, this has been kept like it was when my great grandmother used it. So there's all of her yarn, buttons. Of course, I added this, and you're going to laugh at this, but I use this paintbrush to dust it just so that I don't damage all of this beautiful work on the sewing machine. You really want to be careful with that. So I use this brush to keep it clean. And this is a red eye singer sewing machine. And what that means is it has, can you guys see? Yeah, the little red eyes that go along here help date this design, and they look like eyes, so they call it the red eye. This started manufacture in 1912, I believe, but beautiful piece. Really glad to have it. But yeah, her sewing scissors, everything is in here just like it was. I didn't want to do anything with the drawers. So it's fun. It is a really fun piece. She is gorgeous. She really is. Now, this is probably, well, I have a lot of cabinets and collections and things that I love, but this is probably one of my favorites. This is the Tabacchiana cabinet. I love every piece in here. And I did have it fitted with these little lights. You can get them from Amazon, and they're great because I actually have them all connected to one outlet. So I can give a command and all of the lights in here will turn off or turn on, which is really fun. So it's an inexpensive project. It probably cost about $25, and you can have your whole cabinet lit up with these wonderful little LED lights. So this is all full of early tobacco tins, from pocket tins to lunchbox pails to store displays, all kinds of things. I get a lot of my Tabacchiana tins from a wonderful man in England. His name is Peter. I want to give him a little shout out because Peter is the best. He has a dog named Harry, and he lives in England, and he often shoots his 10 videos out in the Cotswolds. So you get to see all the beautiful English countryside. And he deals in rare tobacco tins. My most special tin, probably in this whole cabinet, is one that is very hard to find. And this is this gorgeous Hignet's Night and Morning Flake, featuring this beautiful angel, the bat, and the moon up in the corner. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is an early Vesta case. I don't think it has the striker on it, but it's just gorgeous. And Peter got this. He said he only knows 4 other collectors that have this particular tin. And he messaged me right away because he knew I really wanted it and was so kind to. He could have sold it to a million people. And he sent it to me, which I'm just really, really thrilled to have. And then this one here is also pretty hard to find, this Ogden's Doric mixture, which I just love with the columns. What a beautiful tin. I mean, all the lithography on these are just stunning, absolutely stunning. I do collect the cigarette cards, and actually, I'll show you some. Nate, who you guys know very well from our sales, he actually sent me these cigarette cards. This was the first friend mail I got from Nate, and these are so cool. So I have the little motorcycles, and then I have this fish, which is one of the weirdest looking fishes in New Zealand. But Nate knows all about this fish, so I have a whole collection of the fish there as well. So pretty cool little cards. But I do have a collection of them. Not a big collection though. Um, but these are all just beautiful. The lunch pails are really neat. I have quite a few lunch pails. This one's a spectacular example. The winner cup plug, it's in a fabulous condition. I got this from George's buddy Dave. If you're ever at any of the flea market, like the big flea markets, look out for Dave. And you love advertising. Dave and Dave are the best. And it's 2 Daves that run this little advertising. They're called the Tinsmen, and they have a great collection of things. So I bought that from him. These are pretty neat. They're called lunch pails because a lot of the people back in the day, of course, reused everything, and they would often send their kids to school with this old tobacco tin once it was empty, and the kids would take their lunch to school in it. So, hence the name lunch pail, which I think is cool, kind of dubbed by collectors. So lots of great graphics, happy graphics, wonderful things. This is also kind of a cool tin I'll show. This was found in my grandparents' attic. It's a possum tin, and these are pretty hard to come by. I wouldn't say they're ultra rare, but you're going to pay $300 or $400 for one of them if they do come up in good condition. But this is even more special because my grandfather kept his collection of dominoes when he was a kid in this, and Dad found it, and I was just so happy to get it because, of course, it's a rare tin I didn't have, but more importantly, it was my grandfather's, and that connection is really cool. I've got some beautiful tins down here, just lots of wonderful graphics on these. To be honest, they're so fantastic. The fountain is a really beautiful tin. I was so thrilled to find that on eBay a few years ago. That one doesn't come up very often, and the graphics on it, and you can just see, man, they are stunning. Absolutely stunning. Times Square is a favorite of mine as well. This is a great 10, this North Star. The back is not in the best condition, but it's probably early 1900s, late 1800s, but the lithography is great on it. Just fantastic. This is, if you're ever in on Instagram, this is Peter. Look out for Huds Curios. That's his official name on Instagram. And he sells all kinds of tins, not just tobacco tins, but great pieces. So really fun. Now I am working on the display on the top here. I don't feel like I have fully gotten it to my liking, but I am having fun playing around with it. So that is really cool. I got this early 10. This is pretty early. It's a counter display made fully out of cardboard. And it's a Tiger chewing tobacco can. And I got this in Round Top with Christy at Round Top Antique Fair. But the funny thing is I couldn't fit that in my suitcase. So what did I do? I'm like, I got to carry this thing home on the airplane. So I literally sat with this on multiple flights in my lap. And when I had to go on the moving tram, which takes you all across the Atlanta airport, I carried it like a lantern way above my head because there were so many people and I was afraid it was going to get squished. And I'm sure people thought I was insane. I remember my last flight, I was kind of over bags, the amount of bags they allow, because technically this was in like a, you know, bag you'd get at a grocery store, but they counted it as a bag, even though it was going to sit on my lap and all these things. And I had my backpack and my luggage, and they're like, you can't take that on. And so then I had to go to the lady, and I was like, look, I'm sorry, I know this is an extra bag, but you don't understand. This is a rare 1800s tobacco tin. I'll never find another one. It's cardboard. I literally talked her ear off about it. And finally, the lady was just like, go. So they let me on. And then the flight attendant came and I told her the same thing. And they carried it all the way to the captain's closet and put it up there because I was in an exit row and I couldn't have it on my lap. So this has quite the story how it got here, but I made it work and it came here. uh, let's see. President Taft's symbol was a possum. Many things were made with possums during his. Wow, Amy, that's cool. Maybe yours was. Yeah, could be, totally. Um, Karen, I don't. I do not have any children other than my pug dog, who will not probably care or get the antiques. But, you know, I think that I will have the coolest estate sale when I die. And I kind of like that idea that hopefully someone else will come in and just love these things as much as I do. And, I think about all the times I've been to estate sales where I've gone in for a specific thing and I've gotten it and I come home and I'm so excited about this treasure. And I hope that people will do that when they come to my space as well, that they'll come in here and it will blow them away. um, yeah, Louis does like to to eat the antiques. It's so hard because people do not have the kids don't have interest. I think the biggest thing is, you know, put labels on things. Someone mentioned that to me earlier, but definitely put labels on things. And especially like with these, if someone came in here, they wouldn't know that that 110 could be worth $1,000 or more, that 110 alone. And they just probably chuck it away or give it away or something. So good to label things, just not everything is going to always hold its value or be worth all this money someday. But, that's kind of not why, in my opinion, I collect things. I love them not so much for the value, but for the idea that they bring me joy and beauty. And somebody back in the 1900s spent time drawing this art to set this tobacco company apart from all the other tobacco companies out there, in hopes that someone would see that eye-catching design and buy it. And now I have it. And most people threw away these things or repurposed them for something else. And now here they are being appreciated as art. And to me, they are art. So I don't know, just enjoy the things while you have them and leave a note on the things that maybe are a little more special, and your kids will know to take them to an antique dealer who will get them into the hands of someone that will love them for another 100 years. That's my hope. Yeah, I mean, a museum would be great. Yeah, a museum would be a great way to preserve these things. I also have a collection of dun, 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 tobacco tags, and these are really neat. If you don't know anything about these little fun tags, make a great collection. I even have a pug one. Look how cute that is. These were made for cut tobacco. So when you get tobacco back in the day, they'd come a lot of times, if they weren't like in pouches and things, in these long boxes of cut plug tobacco. This one's for Climax tobacco. And they would take the tobacco out, and then the tobacconist would have this little cutter on his counter, and they'd cut you a piece of that cut plug tobacco, and you would get, whatever brand you wanted. Well, a lot of the tobacconists got pretty good at figuring out that they could mix cheaper tobacco in with these brands. Well, people were writing into the company saying, hey, I bought your tobacco and it doesn't taste right. So they kind of got on to the fact that these people were trying to save money, these tobacconists. So what did they do is they manufactured these little tags that would go in every couple of inches into the tobacco to show the customer, hey, you are getting Lynx tobacco, you are getting Fancy Boy, you're getting Golden Slipper, you're getting Katie tobacco. And then that way they could authenticate it. Well, problem is people didn't know these were in there and they were cutting their mouth on them. So eventually they went away from doing the tobacco tags, but they make a great collection and I really enjoy them. So I have them magnetized to the inside of this little lid here of this tobacco tin. Now, this is my living room, and this is so much fun. This is my kitchen over here. Everywhere in this apartment, there is a space. I have had fun designing it and coming up with really creative ways to display my collection. Now, I am a maximalist and I recognize that. So, this is not maybe for everyone, but whenever you have little skinny walls, to me, they are just perfect for another small collection of some kind. So we'll start here with this piece. This is my great grandfather's cousin, Evelyn Nunley, the one that had the pharmacy bottles. This was her dad's desk. He wrote prescriptions on it well over 100 years ago. He was a doctor. Everyone in the family wanted this desk, apparently, and Evelyn promised it to everyone and their brother. And my grandfather somehow magically ended up with it. And I had it in my room growing up. Ever since I was a little kid, I had this desk. And I love it. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, I know a lot of these desks where they have the secretary here and then a bookshelf on the other side are called side by sides. This one's unique because on the bottom, it has the glass bookcase. So I don't know that this is technically a side by side. I would just call this like a secretary desk. It may have another official name. I don't think that, I mean, you see these secretary desks, but I don't ever see the ones with the glass bookshelves on the bottom too often. So I think this is a really cool piece. And I have just filled it with my collection of writing utensils, stamps, ink bottles. That's another wonderful little collection is old ink bottles. The paper label on them are just fantastic. And you can get a whole collection of these. Now, that's another thing if you're a reseller, definitely look these guys up because some of them can be worth some serious cash. You would not expect that from a little ink bottle, but they are small and mighty. This one is just absolutely one of my favorites. It is a peacock ink container with the lithography. The inside, though, is fully blue glass. And I've never seen another one of these, but it's for Signet Peacock Blue ink. So it is a favorite container of mine. I absolutely love that. Up here, I've got some more things I picked up from my friend Peter in England. These are paper fasteners, and these are little pins, little ink nibs, the trumpet pin, such a cool thing. I have a Carter's ink bottle back here, and then a Sanford's fountain blue bottle. These are like industrial sizes. If you're out on the secondhand market, definitely look for the cathedral bottle. I don't have one yet, but by Carter's, that is definitely unique and worth some money. And then down here, I've got to show you this because I think this is so cool. My grandma found this in some old photos we were going through, and her dad at one point owned a gas station with his brother or somehow had the land where the gas station was, or I'm not sure, but anyway, we're connected to this gas station, and here's a photograph of it. And is this not just right up my alley? It's so cool. But look at I want you to look closely at the photograph right here. You see that little spark plug display that's on in the photograph? Well, check that out. I have a very similar spark plug display right here, which is just so cool. When I saw that, I got really excited. I was like, oh, Grandma, can I have this photograph? She's like, sure. She was just delighted that I liked it. And then I have some Carter's ink catalogs underneath here, which are very cool from the 30s. Carter's made all kinds of stuff, and one of the ink containers that I would love to find, besides this awesome beehive paint container, is they made music ink specifically for. It was like a faster drying ink, but they made it specifically for people that wrote musical scores, and it's in one of these catalogs. I don't know if it's in this catalog or the one below it, but it has a picture of a music note on it, and I always thought that was really cool. I've never been able to find it, but this is such a cool catalog and a great display. So I just have some wonderful little things on this desk here, and in the bottom I have more kind of school related office supply things. I've got some chalk containers, crayons, ink pads, all kinds of fun stuff. A lot of these I actually picked up from the Brass Armadillo in Denver because this lady, she had a whole collection of them in one of her booth displays, and I made an offer and I bought them all. Oh, thank you. I love how they stacked them in the windows so you would come in and see them. Love the Sanford ink items. My mother's maiden name was Sanford. She had a huge Sanford ink collection. Oh, that's so cool, Rachel. I'm glad you have some of them. Dennis, I'm glad you like the little tins. Yeah, secretary desks are just so cool. It is a really beautiful piece. This piece also, I think, is quite spectacular, and I'm really honored to own it. This came from um, Dennis. It came from Ruben and Denise at Fans and Stoves, one of my local antique malls I frequent. And they have, I call it um, the annex building because they bought an old church and they've turned it into an antique mall. And the classrooms where they used to have, I guess, Sunday school and things, they've now turned into another building that is only open on Saturdays, but it's full of just pure magic, furniture, small items, little things. And I love going in there. And Ruben had this piece, and it's funny. He texted me and he goes, "Katie, I've got this. You need it. It's perfect for you." It is an old cufflink display for men's jewelry, and it has a clock on it, like it's small. And I was like, Ruben, I don't have any place for this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it is gorgeous. Thank you. And then I came on Saturday and I looked at it and I was like, oh, Ruben, you're right. I have to have this. So my friend who was with me said, we'll find a place for it. If you love it, we'll find a place for it. And sure enough, it just fit perfectly here. So I love this. It opens up from the back and it has a little drawer on the back. I'll turn it around so you guys can see. But it opens up so the store employee could get, from behind here, whatever they wanted to show you. And then on the bottom, I guess it's older, so you can see that it needs a little love back here. The drawer must have held extra stock. And then this also opens up here, which is pretty neat. So it comes down and you've got another little display. And then you've got the clock as well, which I'm working on getting repaired so that it works. But it does have the original clock. And I have inside of it more tobacco tins and my collection of little celluloid advertising mirrors, which I just absolutely love. These are so fun to collect. And these are another thing that 90% of the population would see these and think, oh, it's a cute little mirror. How fun. And then not even know that it's worth anything. So just, for the resellers, these kinds of things can, not all of them, but some of them definitely hold their value. This is also another great piece. Dennis, I've showed you this, I think, before, but Dennis, he was a French culinary chef, so he'll appreciate this. And anyone into cooking, really. This is an Art Deco cookbook, actually more of like a student book teaching people how to actually professionally cook called The Epicurean. It's a pretty well-known published book in the world of culinary arts. But I was lucky to find this in Denver. I love this page with all the pots on it and the big stove. It's a really fascinating book. In the back, it has how to do a whole 18 course meal or something crazy like that. Jello molds, different types of ducks and pheasant and fish, and like anything you can imagine in the world of French cooking. It's probably in here. And this book weighs a ton. This was another one of those things that, I saw it when I was in Denver. I was flying home and I managed to get it in my suitcase and carry it back on the plane. My luggage weighed 1,000 pounds, but it was worth it because now I have this beautiful cookbook. Over here is my little fun table. And a lot of people would say you have too many lamps. In my opinion, you can never have too many lamps. I love having lamps. I love industrial lamps, specifically gooseneck lamps. I think they are just the most handy little things and they're fabulous. So I have this green gooseneck lamp with this really unique kind of semicircle base. mid-century lamp, and then this other wonderful little, very rusty, very loved industrial shop lamp. So that is a lot of fun. And in this old map display, I have curated all of these watercolor tins. So they're kind of fun. And then I have a collection of lucite candles. And I don't know how I got into these, to be honest. Someone was asking about how I got into tobacco tins. Really, for me, it's the graphics on all these things that just make me so enthralled with the tins themselves. But these I probably saw when, everyone was selling during the pandemic, and I just thought they were beautiful. And I had to collect them, and they're fun because they're harder, certain colors are harder to find. So it makes the hunt more exciting. But when I put them in this little crystal vase, my mom said to me, "Oh, they kind of look like paintbrushes next to the watercolors." So now that's all I can think of when I see them, and they're just gorgeous. And speaking of art, I wanted to share some little things on our live before we continue this journey. My mom made this piece of pottery, which will be available this Saturday during my live sale, and she used a vintage micromosaic earring as part of the earth and stoneware piece, and vintage marbles to finish off the little top, which is so gorgeous. And then she put a little detail on the inside. So this is just some fun things here that I wanted to share. And then Catherine from Catherine Young, she sent me this, and we're trying to figure out what era this is. This is a RCA Victor. I think it was a giveaway, like a keychain. It's from the RCA Corporation of America, so it's got Nipper on it, which is so cool. She said that her grandmother, Catherine, I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong. No, your aunt. Your aunt was one of the first female reporters for the Sun Times in the area she was in. I think it was in Minnesota. Anyway, she sent this to me and it was thinking that it could be from an earlier time period. So if you guys know anything about this advertising piece, let me know. We also think maybe it could be from the World's Fair. Christy of Christy Garza also sent me a wonderful piece of friend mail. And I wanted to thank her as well for that. She sent me these wonderful little cufflinks, which will go into my cufflink collection. So thank you, Christy and Kat. I think Kat of Calypso Cat, she got them from her. And then the last thing that I wanted to show while we're over on this little table, which the table has a very cool story I'll share in a minute, is this. I recently picked this up from the antique mall from my buddy Richie. And it is an early Art Deco salesman sample of all of these wonderful playing card designs that were made in Chicago. And the whole folder folds out like this. This is my absolute favorite. This card right here is just spectacular. And there's a little pocket in here for children's playing cards with the little horses and the little sweet dollies. So this is probably from the 30s. Yeah, the dots are pretty cool too. I think it has a date on it. Does it have a date? No, I think it's from the 20s or 30s. But it is a salesman sample and it's just gorgeous. So I need to figure out how to display this. And if you guys have any ideas, please let me know. But I just picked this up and it's absolutely a stunning piece. So that's great. I also on this table wanted to point out, see this little box back here? It's Most Curious. It, I believe, I could be wrong, is an Indian wedding box. And I think it is authentic. It's not a reproduction, a dowry box. I've just got some different family heirlooms in here, but this probably would have been for a dowry of an Indian girl given by the father for her to be wed, which is really interesting. And it has these parrots on it. Now, I picked this up in an antique mall just because I thought it was beautiful. And then I was watching a video on one of those apartment tours from a guy named, what is his name? Nemo. I think his account is Nemo, but I follow him on Instagram, and he got featured on Homeworthy or Apartment Therapy, one of those things. And he had a collection of these boxes. So I messaged him and I said, "Hey, I've always tried to figure out what this is, and I can't get any confirmation that, it's authentic." And he told me he felt that it was authentic, and that what I just told you it was in fact what it was. So that's kind of cool. I always thought that was a neat piece. Now, this table has kind of a cool story. This belonged to my grandparents. It was in their kitchen, and every time I'd come over for anything, we always had sandwiches, cookies, soda, coffee, whatever on this table. And when my dad's parents passed away, I really, really wanted this table, and I was thrilled to be able to have it. But what I learned about it is that the base never actually went with the top. The whole time I was a kid, through growing up, I just thought this was an old table that they had gotten, when it was probably sold new back in the 50s, 60s, something like that. Well, my dad's parents, my dad's father, my grandfather, Papa, he was a pastor, and they never had, just tons of money for new furniture. So they were always very creative. And apparently, he found the top on the side of the road, and the bottom came from either a junk store, like a salvage yard somewhere. And he put the two together. And my whole growing up, I never knew that. And that was just the coolest story to me, that these pieces, I mean, they look like they belong together. But they are separated. They're a marriage, and it's just great. And it's the perfect size, this little table, to have dinner over here, to spread out projects. I take all my photographs here. It's just kind of a fun thing. Let's see. What else do we have? Yes, Mom's pottery is so beautiful. Really, really gorgeous. Thank you, Dennis. I know there's so much to see. This is another little fun collection of door plate escutcheons that I just thought would be so neat on this wall. And they're all Art Deco, but they really fill this space super well. So if you have an apartment or you have a little wall that you just don't know what to do with in your house, that's small, think about something architectural like this, because it's really beautiful and it adds a lot of unique interest. Also, on this wall, I have a collection that I am working on moving up the wall, because I now have this cabinet here, but I have a collection of these machine plates. These are so interesting. These came off of all kinds of machinery pieces from back in the day, specifically like this one. A vacuum cleaner had, I mean, this beautiful brass tag on it. Things were just made better, and people took much more care in the design and the product that they manufactured. So you'll find even like this Dayton fire extinguisher piece, just so cool. So I have a whole collection of these wonderful little brass and metal tags, and they just line the wall here. So I'm going to work on moving them up so you can see. I believe, let's see, this I think. So one of them that I have came off of a bicycle, but I can't find it at the moment. This is a railroad marker. This one right here is a railroad marker from the Pennsylvania Railway. Uh, and they mark certain parts on the track. Oh, this is, I think, a bicycle tag. And yeah, I mean, lots of cool things. Look at this, the little guy with his little sheet metal blower system. They're just great little tags. This one is wonderful. This is a brass Otis elevator tag. So anything Otis elevator, I love. Otis elevators were known for being top quality. And when the Empire State Building was built in New York City, they were the only company that they would allow for them to use in their building was Otis elevators. So I've always had kind of a fascination with Otis elevators. And of course, I had to get that wonderful little tag. If you're on Instagram and you love smalls, advertising, or just ephemera in general, there is a wonderful gentleman. His name is Red's Antiques. He is the king of smalls. And I get a lot of my brass advertising tags from him. He is just wonderful. And continuing the tour into the kitchen, I have these wonderful little stained glass panels, which I've attached here above the secretary. These came out of the Mayflower Hotel in, wow, these were probably early 1916, somewhere around there, I believe. The Mayflower was torn down in the 70s, I think. 70s or 80s, I think 70s. But it was an old hotel in downtown Jacksonville. And there's a salvage yard here called Burkhalter Wrecking Company. And they mainly make money from their wrecking projects, but they have these trailers full of stuff that's just from local places around Jacksonville. And I bought these panels and I put little lighted screens behind them. So they are just so cool. Dennis says, I just bought a Dyson fan and it feels so cheap that I'm returning it. No, Dennis, they don't. Isn't that crazy? I will say I have a Dyson vacuum and their company, their customer service is fantastic. Like my Dyson vacuum was out of warranty for I think 6 years, and something broke on it. I called them. They video chatted with me to see what the problem was. And then they said, "Oh, well, you've never made a request or repair on this, so no worries. We'll send you this $90 part for free." My vacuum now works just fine. So I will say they're a good company, but yeah, I don't blame you for returning it. This is a fabulous little piece of um, kit in my kitchen. And I say that because this is an old welder's cart. One of the unique problems I had when I moved into this apartment is that there is only one pantry in this entire apartment for food. At least, I mean, you could turn another closet into that, but my food is in that pantry. So where am I going to put all of my kitchen appliances? And I do love to cook. So I found this wonderful welder's cart from one of my local friends, Eric, at an antique mall that I frequent here called Cool Stuff Vintage, another great mall if you're in the area to check out. And this fit my storage problems fantastic. So, fantastically well. So it opens up and I can store all of my kitchen appliances as like a little appliance garage in the bottom. And on the top, I can have room for all of my Art Deco collections. And if I have guests coming, I can put all of this into one of the back bedrooms, and now it's a serving cart. So it's dual purpose. Hi, Dana. Welcome in. Hi, Raven. Glad you're here. So this is kind of my fun collection of Art Deco items, minus the Handy Sandy. I got that with Vinny. It's probably from the 1950s. It's a sandpaper organizer display. And I just loved it because it added some height and color over here. So it's technically not Art Deco, but it fits in. A lot of these pieces I have picked up from all over, but one of the pieces that I think is just so spectacular is this wonderful plate. And I got this from the Art Deco Museum in Miami Beach, in South Beach. If you're ever there, they have a fantastic collection of Art Deco items for sale that support the preservation of all the Art Deco buildings in the area, which are a must see. So I bought this wonderful plate and stand with the iridescent green. This was made by the Hall China Company, exclusively for Foreman Brothers. And it has the little server with it. So I was just delighted to find that and support the museum as well with the little skyscraper design. I also got this when I was with Vinny and Amy. Amy's in the chat. We went shopping together. And these are just fantastic. This is a toaster, but with the little skyscrapers and the deco feet. Oh my gosh, this thing is fantastic. It does have its cord, but I don't have the cord on display. But I love anything deco and skyscraper. Like, it's so beautiful and industrial to me. And of course, it has a friend. It's waffle iron with the deco handles, the Bakelite handles on the side. This beautiful little deco plate in the front. I don't know if you can see. It's just so marvelous. So I've got these little fun kitchen things here. And then Rachel and I, we were together at Renninger's when we saw George, and we ran into a lady that had all kinds of Bakelite. And it was just pure heaven. So I bought these wonderful little English Bakelite salt and pepper shakers. And then these as well, Art Deco Bakelite pieces, and these little friends, the Scotty dog and the little duck. So, we got all the Bakelite and Art Deco pieces here. This is a wonderful set of uranium glass in a pattern called Tea Room by Indiana Glass. I have the creamer and sugar here, and then over here, I have the celery, the salt and pepper shakers to go with. So really, I don't collect a lot of Depression era glass anymore. All of the pieces I have, I actually use, in my daily life. But I think that these are just so beautiful because they're so deco. Along with this piece, this is a rare surviving example of a pattern by Fostoria called Fountain. And you can see the little Art Deco fountain design on it. The base is uranium. And I just think this is so beautiful. So I used to collect a lot of Fostoria glass, and I've kind of slowed down just simply because it takes up so much room. But the pieces that I do have, I really use. I have a whole little serving cabinet here. When people come over, I mean, we eat off of real plates. I use all my glasses pretty much every day. I love them. They're so beautiful. So yeah, definitely get out your old dishware and enjoy using them. This is my little area in my kitchen that I just think is so fun. I've got a Coca-Cola bottle carrier that would have hooked onto a shopping cart back in the day, so you can have your cold Coca-Cola while you're shopping. And I mentioned in my sale this past Saturday that I have a couple of people that are adopted family, and I don't know who they are, but everyone thinks they're my grandparents. And that would be these little guys here. They're coming out of a co op food store. I don't know them, I don't know their name, but they're just fantastic. Take a little look at the cuckoo clock. It's going off now. Yes, indeed. Just a fun thing. Look at those little guys going around. This cuckoo clock was in my grandparents' house, and I'm very, very lucky to have it. I know not a lot of people get to have as many family things as I do, so I feel very blessed and honored in that way. But this was always in my grandparents' room, and it's just the soundtrack to me of their house. So when I had it brought here, I don't have it working exactly perfectly, but it works well, and I get the sound from it, which is just so comforting to me because it's like being back at my grandparents' house again. So that is a real source of joy for me in this apartment. This is another little cool piece that I will share, and I know there's a lot to see, so I'm kind of picking and choosing some things. But if you have questions, do put them in the chat. Yeah, the Bakelite woman was great. Hi, Helen, welcome in. The toaster is awesome. So cool. Hi, Prairie Stone. This, my grandparents on my dad's side, they're, I don't know if it was my grandmother. I think it was my grandmother. I think her mother's parents. So that would be my great grandparents, I think. They owned a general store, or they had a store, and this was their candy scale. So they you could weigh the candy in here. And Dad always had this on his counter when I was growing up. Most of my childhood, this had fruit in it. And Dad was kind of redoing some things, and he knew I wanted it. So I'm really thrilled that I get to enjoy it here. And I think it's been painted. Dad said that he remembered his parents painting it gold because it was, the finish was coming off. So I don't care that it was painted. I just am so thrilled to have it because it's just a core memory to me of being home. And this was another thing that was in my grandparents' house that I told Dad that I definitely wanted because every time I would come to my BB and Papa's house, that's what we called them, and I would be in the kitchen because I'd be with BB and we'd be baking Scotch bread cookies or something. She would tell me about this plaque. I mean, every time without fail. So my core memory of being at their house not only was the cuckoo clock, the table, but being here and cooking and hearing about how her mother got Papa this plaque when they got married. And it says, "Mother-in-laws are like seeds. You don't need them, but they come with the tomato." So I know it's kind of kitschy and but I love it. It's just so quintessential part of the kitchen. Katie, I have just a few because I'm the youngest of 11, but I love what I have very much. Yeah, isn't it wonderful? The core memories of things that you get to have. Um, this is another fun little collection. This was actually, I think, a bottom to a humidifier for like a hospital, but I cleaned this out very well, mind you, and now I use it for my kitchen utensils. So never be afraid to take something that's used for something else and kind of be creative with it and figure out, like, okay, I have this unique storage thing. What can I do? Instead of going to the store and buying like a modern storage thing. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but go thrifting, go to the antique store and see what speaks to you. And you never know, you might come home with a humidifier container for your utensils. I also have this really cool piece in the corner. This was in an earlier, I should say, Planter's peanut jar with the finial. Now, there are a lot of reproductions of these, but this was in the same lady I told you about that had the desk, and her husband was the pharmacist, Evelyn Nunley. This was in their pharmacy and it had Planter's peanuts in it. And then it was on their kitchen counter when my mom was growing up with candy, I think, in it, mom said. But it has the little Planter's peanut finial and it's so cute and it's got the little planter man. So I love this so very, very much. I'm really glad to have it. And I have the newest addition to my kitchen is this wonderful Art Deco timer, which I use and I just used tonight. It works perfectly. I won't turn it on because it will be loud, but I love this. So I try to find vintage replacements for things wherever I can because it's just more fun that way to me to use something vintage than my phone or anything else. So that's fun. All right, let's migrate into the living room. I will turn on some lights. This is the main room you guys probably saw on my previews and were curious about. Oop, wrong light. Um, this is just my wonderful little happy space. I love lamps, as I've already mentioned, and this is a really fantastic machine lathe lamp. It's solid cast iron. This thing weighs a ton. I found on eBay, and I forget the manufacturer, but it's a harder lamp to find, and I was really pleased with it. And then I brought this all the way home. Man, this thing was heavy from the yard sale, and it's pretty cool. It's a machinery from a machine shop or like some sort of hardware place. But basically, all of these little drawers pull out, and it was in some fire. You can see that these are all burnt up. But somebody kept track of every bolt, screw, and machinery thing that ever existed. So if you not, I mean, you can kind of see they started writing on some of these pages, but there's a few drawers that are fully just full of all kinds of like see trucks. This one's full of typewriters. From a typewriter, I should say. Let's see, they have power steering. What else is on here? Radio flux, wheel discs. I mean, like every hardware thing known to man for this company that probably worked on cars. Um, they filled the Steelmaster cabinet with. So I hauled this thing home, and it is a great little side table. I recently acquired this wonderful Chesterfield sofa off a marketplace. This is probably my best find to date for this entire apartment. I never thought I would find this or get this. I have been looking for a real leather Chesterfield for probably going on 10 years. I've wanted one since I was in college, and they're just expensive and hard to find. And this guy was selling this on Marketplace, and long story, but I ended up getting it. He lived just a few minutes away. He hand delivered it in his truck, which was amazing. I didn't have to pay him any extra for that. He just brought it in, removed my other couch, took it down to my garage, and voila, I've got a beautiful green couch. I think that this couch is from the 50s or 60s, probably sold at Sears, was my best research that I could find on it. It came from a couple in St. Augustine, and they were remodeling their house. And well, here we go. So it's just beautiful. The green is absolutely stunning. Oh, thank you, Lori. I've spent years trying to replace things that I remember that I never go as intended. That's right. Yeah, it is fabulous. This wall is also another favorite space of mine. I just am so pleased how it came together. And it is above the couch. These tools on this board was another design by my friend Bucky. My dad's mother, so my grandmother, BB, her dad was the one that was just handy with everything. And Grandpa Lukens, and he had his own refrigeration business in Heron, Illinois. These were some of his tools. And I am very honored to have them. And Bucky did a great job kind of putting them in this framed display and figuring out how to zip tie them to the display. He said it was like working with a cheese grater. Bless his heart. He had to figure that out, and that was hard. But he loves that creative project type thing, and he figured it out, and we hung it up here. So I love it. And then the level on the other side, this one I got from Misty's dad. The Stanley one, but this level on the other side came also with the tools. My dad always loved it because it said "Tell the Truth." That was the name of this level company, which I think is so cool. I also have on this wall, which is probably one of the most interesting things. This is an old piece of sheet music. You can't tell that because the front doesn't look that way, but on the back, it's actually sheet music, and it was a contest by um, this checker cab company to actually complete their jingle. All their cabbies could write in and complete the jingle, and they would win $100. So I don't know how rare this piece is or unique it is. I've never seen another one, but it has a unique display of all the different model cabs. These were cabs that were from back in before, at least I think the 40s, from my research. I could be wrong because it's been a while since I looked that up, but this is a really cool piece that I had framed and I just love. I also have some other super cool things I'll share in this little area. I have, speaking of checkered cab, I have a parts catalog for a 1950s checker cab, which is very thick and very cool. So I've put this here on my coffee table. And down here, I have this is kind of my makeshift coffee table. And I love it because it looks like a little skyscraper, but it's just industrial ends. But this one is particularly cool because when you open it up, it's all watch parts from it's an old watchmaker's cabinet with all the original glass pieces on the inside. Look at that, guys. Isn't that cool? So I absolutely love this. And all the drawers are just as they were found. Chock a block full of interesting little watch parts and things. So it makes a fantastic little coffee table. Over here, I have my salesman sample quarter size uh, Globe Warnacki bookcase, lawyer's bookcase, barrister bookcase that I got with Cindy. We were together shopping when I found this, and it's just a great piece. It fits perfectly in this little corner. And I have my collection of cameras on here uh, and different things. This is an old projector oil container. Pam at Pamela Blanchard, you guys all know and love Pam. This was her grandfather's radio. And he collected radios and she let me have one. So that's awfully special. I have some really, really cool machinist and hardware books down here with this diets and drawing materials brass sign, which is awesome. This is really cool. This is Gardner. He was a very famous columnist and did a Broadway column. I think he was also on TV. You can look up the history of him. But this is a little advertisement desk piece for the Herald Tribune, advertising his new Broadway column from New York, which is cool. And this was my great grandfather's Connolly camera. My grandma remembers having, my grandma on my mom's side remembers him using that camera. So that's pretty cool. And then, oh, this is quite the piece. This is an old Coca Cola light up store display clock that would have been above a Coca Cola cooler that says serve yourself. So you could go in and grab the Coke, pop the lid on the side with the little bottle opener, and then take it in to pay for it. Or it would have had a slot where you could put the money in. So this would have been sitting, to my knowledge, on top of that machine, that cooler. So I got this. This is a crazy story. I got this from an estate sale, but not really. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I drove all the way to Fruit Cove, which, if you're familiar with Jacksonville, that's a good 40-minute drive. And the estate sale, the house, this guy had a house and a 4-car garage. The house opened up at 8. The 4-car garage, where this piece was, did not open up till 11. But I had to be on the list to get into the garage. So I got there at 5 a.m. Yes, I did. And I waited outside, and I was the only person there except for one other gentleman. We waited all that time. And when the sale started, I thought I was going to be first in line because I was there first. Turns out I wasn't. There was another guy that lived next door that came the night before and put his name on the list, walked over and got this clock. And I was really, really bummed because I had waited all this time and I knew I was like dead sure I knew where this clock was in the garage. I was all set to get it. I had like studied it and studied it. I was like, is this authentic? Yeah, it was. So I really wanted this. And so what I did was like, the guy was there with his wife, and they were clearly resellers because they were buying all kinds of things and they were looking everything up under the sun. And his wife was Googling a lot of things. And so I kind of made friends with her, and I was like, hey, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm a collector. I really want this clock. And I'm happy to help you like look up these tobacco pipes because I have WorthPoint and you can have all the access you want to this. But would your husband be willing to sell me the clock? And she's like, well, I don't know. If you really want it, I'll ask him. So I made an offer. I said, look, I'll give you cash. You'll sell it right now because the clock was only $50 at the estate sale. And I was offering him a lot more. And I kind of gently, politely, I didn't follow them around, but I was like talking to them, and we became friendly and everything. And I'm just like, I collect Coca-Cola, and I just really want this clock. So about 4 in the afternoon, I get a call from this guy, and he's like, look, I'll sell you the clock. Would it be an inconvenience if you met my wife here? And the funny thing is that place was directly across the street from where I live, but they thought I lived in Fruit Cove, and I was like, yeah, that's no problem. Lovely people. I drove over, I got the clock, and well, here it is now. So it's quite the story on this clock. Um, yeah, one doesn't associate cabbies with jingles, that's for sure. Bucky does exist. Yes, for the longest time, for friends that don't know, when I was talking with Angela and Nate and Carrie and everyone at the beginning of this crazy time we were all stuck inside, I kept telling them about this man named Bucky who would come hang things for me that were just odd and unusual. And they just thought that was the strangest name. And they're like, Bucky just can't possibly exist. Like, you have to be making them up. And finally, one day I took a picture with Bucky and I sent it to them. And I'm like, see, Bucky exists. So, yes, Bucky does exist. But he does great things. This is a wonderful collection of advertising pieces from all over. This in color piece is fabulous. It came from the San Marco Theater, the same theater I pulled out that industrial box that worked the projectors. So I was really pleased to get that. This lamp here, this was turned into a lamp. It is made by a guy that salvaged this off of a Navy ship, a Cold War era Navy ship. So that has some really cool history. And again, Red's Antiques, one of my favorite shops on Instagram for advertising. I got this Axes of the World cardboard display from him, and it's just fantastic. This is probably one of the coolest things that I've ever picked up at an estate sale because it was free. Uh, this is a very rare 1920s microphone. It is an American double yoke microphone. And the only reason I know this is because I found a guy that exclusively deals in antique and vintage microphones for production out in Hollywood, California. And I think his name is Rojo. I'll link it in the show notes. Really great guy, but he deals in microphones. And I messaged him, and he was so thrilled about seeing one of these. It was a big deal to him. But I saw this on an estate sale and I brought it up to the front, and the lady checked me out and everything. And when I got home, I looked at my receipt. They never charged me for it. So I ended up, and she was going to charge me $5 for it anyway. So what a great thing. Apparently this very unique microphone that's worth several $100s, was just free. So that's fantastic. Your dad and brother both went to watchmaker school in Quincy, Illinois. That's so cool. Yes, I am in the 3-bedroom apartment. I did persist and I did get it. Another cool little piece of history about my family is that my great grandfather was in World War One, and he was in France when he heard the war had ended over radio. He was working on airplanes. And he decided from a very early age, he could see the power of communication from not only his experiences in the war, but also when the Titanic sank. He always said that he believed that there could have been better communication. And when he was young, his parents took him to see the Edison light bulb display at the World's Fair in St. Louis. So ever since he was young, he had seen where technology and inventions of things could improve the lives of people. And when he was over in France, they could have sent him home by boat, but there weren't enough boats at the time. So they offered for a group of people to stay and get an education. And he learned all about radios and equipments and things like that. And when he came back, he sold batteries, radio batteries to farmers, and then started the first radio station in Southeast Missouri, KFVS. This is the first microphone from the very first broadcast of that radio station in 1925. It is a double button carbon microphone. Thanks to my friend I made on Instagram, I learned all about this microphone. The guts had been removed at one point. It's cool because my grandfather, who ended up working at the station, and then my great grandfather, Oscar, they had to build everything from scratch. This wasn't like you could go to Radio Shack and just grab a part. So they probably took whatever was in here out to make something else for the radio station. So I have this microphone, and then I have the call letters here that would have been on this microphone flag, which is really cool. This microphone, this 1950s Shure microphone, was not from the radio station, but it's a cool piece that I have since acquired. Um, this is a great photo of my grandfather working at the radio station, Grandpa Jim. I love this photo. And then my other grandfather on my dad's side, Papa, this is a great photo of him with his record collection. So dad sent that to me, and I'm so grateful to have both of them here in my little record setup over here. These are my turntable. My main turntable is here. I have this beautiful Marantz 220 amplifier that I got along with these university speakers from the 60s. If you know Jamie from Mid Century Wasted, her husband Blake is just fantastic. They both are. And I drove to St. Louis and picked these up from him. He brought them all the way from California. And they work great. So now I've got this wonderful turntable set up that I just love. This little cabinet over here was also from the radio station. It held tape cassettes at one point, I think. So I'm very glad to have this. I love this. And these are all old amperage meters and things that I have picked up from a man on the yard sale with Pam and, that crowd when I go to the yard sale. So these are just wonderful things. This is another one. Cool story, estate sale story that I will never forget. You ever have those days when you're in estate sale land and you're like, yeah, I'll never forget the time that I found this. Well, this clock was one of those stories. It was similar to the other clock. I had gotten up at the uh, early days of dawn to go to some estate sale that was out in Green Cove Springs, and it was like a mid-century modern dream. I mean, everything was perfectly curated. This lovely lady was she was in theater in New York City, and her house, you can just imagine, was fabulous. Mid-century pieces were mint. Everything was displayed beautifully. And anyway, this estate sale company had a very strict policy about picking things up. It was one of the weirder estate sales I'd been to in regards to that. And they said, if you handle an item and pick it up off the table, you have to buy it. It is yours. You cannot set it back down. You can't take it back. And I was like, wow, they were very strict. They had people all over the sale. So one of the things I went for were these clocks. They had a wonderful collection of Starburst clocks and this Brutalist clock, which I just fell in love with and had to have. So I'm there. I'm probably ninth in line. This estate sale was packed. And when I get in, I ask the lady, where are the clocks? Because from the pictures, they were just hanging on a white wall. Like you couldn't make out if they were in the kitchen, the hallway. And the lady goes, oh, I'm sorry, the clocks have already sold in the first like 5 seconds of this estate sale. And I was like, darn it, man, I didn't get here early enough. So I'm like wandering around the estate sale, and all of a sudden, this clock, the one that I really wanted, was just leaning on the ground against the wall. Well, I grab it, I pick it up. I'm like, oh, I'm taking this clock. Some other comes by and is like, no, there's another guy buying it. Basically, put that down, don't touch it. Well, the guy came back to me and he's like, I don't want this clock. I thought it was metal. I didn't realize that it was resin. Well, it does look like metal, but a lot of these brutalist wall art pieces are actually resin. And the guy's like, do you want it? If I had not turned around that corner at that exact moment, this clock would have been gone. So I will never forget that estate sale. And I'm so glad that I have it because I think the green just looks so good with this little 1920s desk lamp. I just love it. This little corner makes me so happy. Yeah, that was quite the thing. I do have renter's insurance. Yes, I do. Okay, we're gonna move on into the bedroom. I have some things in here. There is not a wall that does not have a collection. That's just how I roll in this space. I love the creative and of course, being surrounded by all these happy graphics and meaningful pieces and history just makes me so happy. Every day I'm in here, I just feel like I'm in my own little antique store and I love it. A couple of things on this wall that are cool. The men's and ladies' bathroom signs here. These came from San Marco Theater. I unscrewed them off the door. They are period Art Deco pieces. I was so lucky to get these. I still can't even believe it. Um, and these pieces here in the square frames are actually tobacco molds. So remember earlier in the tour, I shared those little tobacco tags and I said, it was a problem because people were getting them like in their mouth and cutting their mouths open. Well, this was the solution. Make a mold with the company on it so that they can't mistake the tobacco or mix it with cheap tobacco. And here we go. So we've got Brown's Tobacco, Schweppes, and Dezo Work. So these were like put into a press, which is really cool. And then somebody framed them. I bought these as a set at an antique mall, which was really fun. These plates on the wall, I will point them out because they are pieces that belong to my great grandmother. Now, I unfortunately didn't get to know her very well, but she was a painter and a world traveler and brought these, I think, back from England. But there's a picture I found that my grandmother has of a bunch of families sitting on the couch at their house. And I found these plates hanging in this exact pattern on the couch. And when we were going through things, I just thought the plates were beautiful. So I wanted to add them into some space in my house. And mom was thrilled that I wanted them. So I brought them over here. And I thought, well, I'm going to hang them exactly like Grandma Hirsch had them. So here they are in the exact order she had them. She had a bigger picture in the middle, but they were stacked this way. So that's kind of cool detail that most people wouldn't know or care, but it's fun to share. I have lots of other unique advertising pieces. My favorite, though, probably is this Art Deco waterfall playing card display from the Deluxe Playing Card Company. That is a really, really cool piece. This piece I also got when I was with Cindy. When Cindy was here, we hauled this back. It weighs like 1,000 pounds from the junkyard, but this is a piece of concrete that was on the old Firestone building downtown Jacksonville. The demolition company tore it down in 1980. So here it is, the chunk of the corner of the building, and I have pictures of the original building. You can see the F. So I always thought that was a cool piece. I have also a great collection of gems and minerals, which I'll share with you. This on this wall, the most unique piece, I think, is this lampshade. This was my grandfather's lampshade when he was a boy in his room. And my dad wanted me to have it. So it's got a baseball player, a horseback rider, or maybe he's a polo player, basketball, and then a sailboat. So that was another thing that I gave Bucky sort of a creative challenge. And I said, I don't have apartment where I can just rewire the lamps because initially I wanted to put it here on the wall, but I can't take this down because I rent. So he put it in one of my gallery displays, which was really cool. So lots of fun things. Everyone always loves the gumball machine. I don't think that this gumball machine is actually old. I do think it is a reproduction, but it's the perfect container for all of my vintage dice. So that is a fun little display as well. Thank you, Rachel. My brother does not. He is more of a, how do I say, well, that's not true. He does collect some things, but my brother he collects things that are more consumable. He is a connoisseur of rare and unique whiskey. He's very knowledgeable on Scotch whiskey. He also throws pottery, just like my mom does. And so he has a collection of tiles that he's glazing right now, currently, with glazes that he's made completely from scratch, from powder that he's made. He has a really cool collection of antique firearms, and my brother took me to the long range when I was visiting, and he let me shoot the typewriter gun. I call it the typewriter gun because Remington actually made it during the war, and some other company quit manufacturing it. Carson has the whole story, but when he found out that Remington made it, he texted me. He goes, "Have you ever heard of the Remington Typewriter Company?" And I was like, well, I have some Remington typewriter tins you might be interested in seeing. So we've kind of bonded now over that cool history. And Carson let me shoot that. So it's really made from the metal that was used in the typewriters. So really cool. Fun little thing. And this bookcase over here is awfully special. My grandfather, my mom's father, made this when he was in high school back in 1940 something in the wood shop. And this was always in my grandparents' basement. Now I have it. And my grandfather, he was, like I said, an electrical engineer. He worked for IBM, and he also worked at the radio station and ran a lot of the technical things that they did. So when I was growing up, Grandpa taught me how to do woodworking. He taught me all about um, using my hands and how to actually use machines and things. So I wanted to kind of continue that love by utilizing this bookcase to display all kinds of hardware related things, because that was just something we did together. And I turn pens, I do woodworking on the lathe because of Grandpa, and he got me into all of that. So I just thought it would be cool to display hardware things. So that's what's on this particular bookcase here, which is really, really cool. And I do have some pieces that also are interesting. They're not actually hardware specific, but they are from St. Louis, which is the area that my grandfather went to college. He went to Washington U. A lot of my family's from St. Louis. These are all things from the Bell Telephone Company. I have in this, I don't know if you can see because I can't zoom in, but I have a Bell Telephone doorknob from the original Bell Telephone building. I have the salesman samples of Bell Telephone um, telephones, which are really cool. So when the salesman would come back in the day to bring you a telephone, all of the telephones were black. Pretty much. That was the standard color. And if you wanted to upgrade to a fancier color, they would literally just take your phone out to their truck, take off the black housing, that was plastic, by the way, and pop on one of these colors that they would have shown you in a miniature version. So, I mean, and you'd pay extra, of course, a month to have a fancy telephone. But they were in all these fun colors. I don't have all the colors, but I'm in the process of collecting slowly all the colors. Red is my next one, and green. I would love to find red and green. But if you're ever in St. Louis, there is a telephone museum that is run by all the Bell Telephone employees that worked at the Bell Telephone in St. Louis. And they have in their gift shop vintage items that you can buy. They don't do any reproductions or modern things. And I think it's so cool. So I bought all of these to support the museum. Plus, it's a great collection. And I bought the doorknob also, which they will often bring doorknobs from the original Bell building over there for sale. So really cool little collections of things. And I have some belts, some bears, and things that were on my grandfather's desk. There's KFVS TV. They also had TV at one point. So just a lot of fun little things. Now this headboard here is kind of cool. This is on my bed. I made this myself out of old pallets. Somebody, and I'm so sorry I don't remember who sent this to me. It is a General Electric plate off of a machine, but I attached it to the top of my bed here. So I have a very vintage industrial bed. And then Pam from Pamela Blanchard, she gave me this airplane propeller. I don't know how old it is, but it was in her house for a very long time. So I'm honored to have that. It's perfect here. And then another fun little detail in this bedroom is these nightstands. Now, this is actually an old mid-century filing cabinet, and I paid $10 for it. I got it in Alabama at the Brass Bear, and I only bought one. Well, because there was only one to buy. Flash forward 4 or 5 months, I'm shopping in a local antique mall here, and guess what I find? The other one, the match to it. So it was just perfect. So I ended up finding two very slim file cabinets that work just beautifully as little nightstands here. And they are so fun. So they're great. I love them. They're on wheels, so they roll around. And then I have two really unique lamps. This one is a sight saver lamp. probably from the 50s. Now, it has the original tag, which is what's cool. I don't know if you can see, but it kind of has a little like Illuminati looking symbol to the design of the lamp. So there's a lot of conspiracy theories about that online when you Google this lamp, which is always fun. And then the lamp that I have over here on my nightstand, this is my side of the bed. Louis gets to be over here, uh, is this little lamp, which is also from the 50s, but I think that it was made by some kid in like a machinist shop, probably as a school project, because I've never seen another one like it. You can see how unique the shape is on it and just the way that it's made. I just don't think that this was a regular sold to consumer lamp. Do you know what I mean? But that's what makes it really cool. So it has kind of, it almost looks like the fender of a car, on the top here. So yeah, I just think that's so cool. Now I do have a collection of gemstones and geodes and different things. My favorite is rutilated quartz, which Nate, I blame Nate. He's the one that got me addicted to these wonderful little magical pieces that are filled with, they're quartz filled with little pieces of rutile that just sparkle in the light. These golden rutiles, they're just so beautiful. So I have a whole display of rutiles here, which I just love. Um, let's see. These two pictures I bought when I was in England. I got them at Shakespeare's wife's house. So that is very, very cool. In um, Stratford upon Avon. So very cool little pictures that were mice turned into Shakespearean characters. I just thought they were whimsical and I loved them. And they came home. They were little postcards and I had them framed. These pieces are so cool. This is by an artist. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. But these are prints. I don't have originals, but he takes old typewriters and he creates these pieces of art. And you can see every stroke is done with a typewriter and there's little hidden messages inside and it all makes up these city scenes. And I have this one of the Chrysler building in New York, and then over here I have the Empire State Building, but these are all done on typewriters. And he does the Mona Lisa. I mean, it must take him hours to do, but absolutely incredible gentleman. Actually, I may have his name on the back. Let me look. Nope. Yeah, in the folder. Hang on. Let's take a look if I can get the little tag out. Yep, he signed his little name, JC. But why James Cook? Yeah, James Cook. That's it. So if you look up James Cook, you'll find he does the videos of him creating the art on Instagram. So they're super, super cool. I'll get that fixed. But very cool thing. This is another neat piece that I'll tell about while we're in the bedroom, and then we'll kind of move on. This was in my dad's house when I was growing up. He had a barber shop chair, still does. Always wanted one, and I never knew why Dad wanted one. But he told me when he was growing up. I just learned this, that he went over to one of my grandfather's friends' houses. He was also, I think, a pastor, and they had a chair, a barbershop chair, that was in his office. And they put it in there so that his wife could come in and sit down and chat with everyone. And basically, the story was all about having good conversation and having an extra place to sit that was always really comfortable. So, Dad, and there's probably more to the story. I'm not doing it justice, I don't think, but Dad remembered that. And it was such a impactful thing for him as a kid that he wanted one in the house when we were growing up, and that was always in our kitchen. So our little coffee area always had the barbershop chair, and everyone always wanted to sit in it because it is surprisingly comfortable and it's just cool. And Dad had the matching barbershop cabinet. Well, he ended up giving it to me which I love and adore. And Bucky, bless him, had to figure out how to hang it because I can hang a lot of things. I'm very handy, but when things are this heavy or unique, I just don't want to wake up to something on the ground. You know what I mean? So Bucky came and he figured this out. It took him a bunch of zip strips and crazy things in the wall because it weighs a ton. But what's really cool about it is the top, I don't know if you guys can see, is Formica. And on the Formica, there are burn marks up here. And that's because the barbers would smoke their cigarettes and leave the cigarettes burning while they cut people's hair. So I think that's a really hidden but amazing detail on this piece of furniture. And then this came from Misty, Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter. I got that from her shop. And it just houses a bunch of cool industrial things. So this is my little cozy bedroom. Let's see. Hi, Pam. Welcome in. Glad you're here. It's wonderful that you display all your treasures, where some people keep them packed away. Well, I just figure if you're going to have these things, you might as well enjoy them. And I know to some people that this is a crazy amount of things to enjoy, but I feel so honored I get to be stewards of them for a little while, preserve their history and enjoy them. And it's just such a neat and cozy experience here. Yes, I love the radio, Pam. I'll show it to you again. Louie is doing great, guys. We just came from University of Florida Veterinarian Hospital. She was down there, and the neurologist cleared her to get back to more normal life with some precautions, no jumping. She can't do a lot of crazy things. Like she likes to jump off the bed and jump off the couch and, you know, do zoomies, but she can go on walks now. She can have her chew toy again. She can all the things they didn't want to do because she had the disc problems and they didn't want them to get worse. So she was on restricted movement. Hence why I've got the kennel here. Every night she sleeps in bed with me, but they didn't want her to jump off. So my neighbor and I rigged this up. You can't see it, but behind here I have a little cord that connects to the kennel right here so that this won't move and she can be safe inside. She can see out. She can see me, on all four sides, but that way she doesn't injure herself. So, yeah, there we go. This is my bathroom. I know that's weird to be showing someone, live on YouTube a bathroom space, but this is a space I'm very proud of, and I have enjoyed putting it together. And it is full of vintage and wonderful things. I have these great advertisements. That came from an old pharmaceutical catalog. And ironically, when I bought these, I got a message from the guy on eBay and he goes, "Are you Vintage of Vinyl from YouTube?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "Oh, I follow you. I'm Blue Feather Mercantile," which you guys might know because he's been in our chats a while. He started selling magazine ads on eBay unbeknownst to me, and I ended up buying some of his ads. So he's got a really cool shop, and these are awesome. These are just so cool, and I had them framed. Little tip for framing things. If you go to Hobby Lobby and you have an item and you buy a pre-made frame from them, they usually, not always, and it depends on what it is, because sometimes the size is too weird for them to do, because old advertisements can be weird sizes, but you can ask them, "Hey, can you just cut me a mat?" So what I did was these were already pre-made, this metal frame with the glass, and then they cut me a mat same day and framed it for me. So it was like half the cost of what you would get with a custom frame piece, but you get the look of it, and it works out great. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do that for pieces that are going to be facing a window. I would definitely spring for the museum glass to protect the items, but for something like this inside of a bathroom, it was kind of perfect. I have some wonderful things. I'm getting ready to go to New York, so I thought I'd show you guys. These are some of the brooches I'm considering taking on my trip. I've got my Park Lane New York brooch. Of course, that had to go. So I'm staying at the TWA hotel. So, of course, also just makes sense. I need my tie clip and my stewardess pen for that. So I'm just kind of thinking of some things. Of course, this for theater. And then I'm going to the Great Gatsby one of the nights. That was one of the shows I picked. So I was thinking Art Deco. Although I know this is more mid century brutalist, it kind of has that theme. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to the Village Vanguard for jazz. So I thought maybe my trumpet. So just some fun things I'm playing with at the moment, and that's why they're here. I have this wonderful barbershop cabinet that's Art Deco. And inside of this cabinet, I have my collection of vintage condom tins, prophylactic tins, which are so cool, among other many wonderful little treasures. So I've done a whole video on this cabinet if you want to know more, but this is my favorite. It's an Art Deco prophylactic tin. And then there's another one, if you can see on the bottom, I just love. It says, as thin as a shadow, as strong as an ox. You can see that one. So shadows prophylactic. Isn't that just crazy, y'all? Oh my gosh, the stuff back in the day's gotta make you laugh sometimes. This is also one of my favorite bottles I think I've ever bought. I got this from Misty. This is Wave Curl Set. I've never seen another one, but it has the naked ladies and they're embossed. Can you see on the sides and on the back? This was from a New York company. So really, really cool advertising from back in the day for sure. Now this is going to be weird to most of y'all, and I considered maybe not sharing it, but I thought that I will. I've followed for a long time, or have found a guy that specializes in collecting old razors. So now I have learned and gone down a whole rabbit hole of razors and shaving and fabulous things. And well, I thought, why not get into wet shaving? So I actually use, and I know this will sound weird, but this guy restores vintage razors, and he's taught and educated the public how to restore a vintage razor. And as long as they're properly cleaned, they're great to use. So yeah, I use a vintage Gillette Fat Boy as my razor, and it is wonderful. So I got this. I cleaned it. I boiled it. Did all the things that you do. Soak it in alcohol. It is perfectly safe to use and clean, and it is the best razor I've ever had. So if you, it's a double edge blade. But it's great. And then you can get old fashioned shaving soap online. You can go down the rabbit hole and it's fun. So if you're wanting to get into shaving, well, here you go. Vintage razors, always a good time. And speaking of vintage razors, Venny's dad is a collector of vintage razors and blades and all kinds of things. And he made this for me, which is just amazing. It is all different razor cartridges and blades from back in the day. And I told Vinny one time, I probably told him this 1,000 times, how much I love this. Whenever I'm brushing my teeth, it seems like every night I look at this thing and I discover something I've never seen before or one that I didn't notice. So, and this is a great thing. You got to get something like that in your bathroom while you're brushing your teeth because all this advertising is sure fun to look at. And these are deco tins and containers and packaging on this old, this actually folds up, and it was an old hose display for plumbing hoses, which I think is very cool. So, you're a former TWA. That's awesome. Nan, that's so cool. Very naughty. Yeah. Okay. And the last stop on my tour tonight, guys, is my closet. That is going to be Hey guys, I am so sorry. My phone just decided to die. So I was thinking I was paying attention to the video, but it just went away. So we're just gonna sit and chat for a second. Um, while my phone charges a few percentages. So do you guys have any questions for any of the things that you've seen so far or want to see or want a closer look at or just curious about? Let me know. I'm so glad to share home with you guys. Yeah, this is really my cozy sanctuary. So I enjoy sharing this with you guys. It gives me such great joy to share all these things I spent a lot of time researching and collecting and all of that. Don't worry, the closet is coming. We will not skip the closet. So we'll just give a few minutes here for my battery to get up to a good level, which will be pretty fast because I've got it on the fast charger. What item's history shocked you? Ooh, that is a good question, Michelle. Um, History. Oh, that really is a stumper. Um, I'll tell you an item, and I didn't get a chance to show it to you, but remind me. The item I think that has shocked me the most is I have a war alarm clock. And I love the history behind those because they were made, production stopped on all clocks in the US going into the war because we needed the metal for the war efforts. So, but that created a problem because there was a shortage suddenly of alarm clocks and people weren't able to get to their jobs on time, which was needed to make the country run during World War II. So West Clocks came out with an all cardboard alarm clock except for the metal parts, and it was approved by the US government. And they manufactured this in very, very small quantities, and they asked people to only buy it if they truly needed it. Well, there was a jewelry store in Chicago that got 1,000 of these alarm clocks in. People lined the streets, much like we would line up for an estate sale or some crazy release of a brand new video game console, just to try to get this alarm because it was in such demand. Well, people actually got trampled, store employees got punched, police had to be called. There was a literal riot over these alarm clocks. Is that not the most crazy thing you ever heard in your life? So that to me is awesome. I'll show you my clocks in just a minute. But that history shocked me, I think, the most. One item is on my hot list lately. Ooh, Karen, that's a good question. There are several things that I would love to have, and while we're talking about clocks, there is a wonderful Art Deco. It's called the skyscraper clock. That is 100% on my list. They go for about $400 or $500. So unless I found one cheaper, I don't know anytime soon I'll be picking that up, but maybe for Christmas. That's high on my list. The very top thing there's some tins that I would love to acquire, but the top thing on my list is there is a World's Fair Saturn Art Deco uranium glass lamp. There's one on eBay right now for $10,000. I don't think that they're worth that much, but they're definitely worth around $1,000. They're hard to find, so that's on my hot list. Isles says, do you do your own dusting? Yes, I do. And you know what? Most of the time I don't dust. I'll be real honest with you guys. I do use compressed air. Pam got me into that. I need to buy some more of it. I did treat myself to a house cleaner at the a couple months ago. She came in. She was amazing, and I was very nervous, and I was about to tell her, please don't dust, because I just, I've got everything like perfectly placed. That's the challenge, with these things, is you get them on a shelf just like so perfectly that you don't want to have to move them again, but you also don't want the dust. So she took pictures of all the displays and dusted everything. She was so gentle. She actually worked for another lady. Her other job in this life is working for a lady that ships antiques to California and other places. Or the lady's from California, but she ships her antiques. Anyway, she had experience with these things and was very careful. So that's the probably in the last year, to be real with you guys, the last time anything was properly dusted. I mean, like my bathroom counters and things I clean, but like this bookcase that you guys saw, I mean, I I don't let me see how I can flip. This right here, I wipe where I can, but I'm not gonna take everything off of it. So yeah, compressed air, really, to be honest with you guys. Katie, your collections are so awesome. I would love to see your Coke room. Yes, Karen, I'd be glad to show you. I did not show the office. It is kind of chaotic at the moment. I'm packing things up for my previous sale. My neighbor and I have also started selling clothes, so we're we're just kind of that room's a work room, but I'm glad to share it. If I lived alone, my children would go crazy. I would buy more like you. And what I have in my cottage is my happy stuff. Yeah, Raven. Isn't that great? Some people just don't get it. That's what I found. You either get being a collector and a steward of things, or you don't. You're either a collector or you're not. And a lot of people that aren't into antiques just don't understand, and that's okay, but that's why we have this group of people, because you guys all understand, you get it. I don't have to explain why I have a whole bookshelf of old tins. You guys are like, that's just awesome. I love it. Hey, Nick. Didn't know if you'd still be going. Well, I am, and glad to have you here. The cleaning ladies, yeah, she is a keeper. Yeah, I just kind of dust where I can. You got so many wonderful things. It's just too hard to worry about dusting. Also, curio cabinets are great because they keep a lot of the dust out. I've gotten to the point where I don't worry so much. Also, I have a lot of things that come with patina or dust, and that's why I always like to joke that the dust is free with purchase, because it's true. I often, when I get something, now if it's really dirty or gross, it gets cleaned. But like some of my advertising displays, I don't want to run the lithography on them by cleaning them more. So I don't like to do a whole lot to something. If it's a wood piece of furniture that I get in, I will use like a natural wood restore finish that just hydrates it. But I don't refinish anything. I kind of like to keep things as is. Yeah, well, oh yeah, when I rearrange a shelf, everything gets dusted, but yeah, beyond that, no. You have a small antique item of Coca-Cola collection. Ooh, that's cool, Karen. Yeah, so if you guys have any other questions, put them in the chat. We are at 11% battery, so I think we can safely head into the closet now. And I'll just keep an eye on the batteries. So I've got a pretty long cord, but I don't think it will reach. But we're here. Some stuff only gets dusted at the rearrange time. Yes. See, all you other people understand that. Oh, I've had people are like, "What do you mean you don't dust?" Now my neighbors are so nice. They came in and they're like, "I your place is never dusty." And they're just amazed. They're like, "I don't know how you do it. You must secretly dust." And I'm like, "I'm telling you, I don't secretly dust." So I don't know. Yeah, so you don't compromise the graphics. Uh-huh. Exactly. One of my biggest, and this is no shame, of course, to anybody that likes this style. Um, Personally, I don't like when things are just painted white. That just is to me the death of antique furniture. And so yeah, that's a pet peeve. Oh, hi Kim. Yes, thanks for asking about the flag. This is wonderful. One of my favorite bands in the whole world. They're called Sub Radio. They are an indie pop punk band from Washington D.C. They created this fantastic album called Sunrise City. They worked with a very, very famous music producer, and they were pretty small potatoes, but they got enough shares and likes on social media to get with this producer who you guys probably know. I mean, you wouldn't know his name right off the bat, but he's done bands like Fall Out Boy, Weezer. I mean, he's produced some pretty well known albums. And they flew out to California to audition for him, and he said that he would produce 4 songs on their album, which was a big deal. And I was so excited for them. So I saw them in Washington D.C. at the 9:30 Club. They raised enough money to film the show, and part of their Sunrise City album is that they had these flags, which is their Sunrise City flag, and the whole idea sort of behind the album is that we can all escape into Sunrise City whenever we're having a bad day or we feel down. So Sunrise City is like a fictional happy place similar to Margaritaville but a little bit different. So I love it. So yeah, this is the flag from that concert. And my neighbor, Mike, he is amazing. I told Mike a while ago that I wanted to put a flag on my ceiling above my bed because one of my very, very favorite places in all of the whole world is a place called Stogie's down in St. Augustine. And they are a little jazz bar. The whole place is tiny. I mean, it's like this, the downstairs of it is probably the size of my living room. It has 2 Chesterfield sofas and they have live music every night. And it's like a little cigar lounge with this great local music. And I just love going for the music because it's so good. Well, they have a flag above their Chesterfield sofa. And I always thought the look was just so cool and cozy. So Mike came over here, and this was quite a feat. I don't recommend this. Don't try this at home. It is not safe. But he got a ladder and put it on my bed, and I held the ladder, and he climbed up there and hammered that thing into the ceiling. So, Mike, thank you. I'm grateful to you because I love this flag, but it's never coming down. um, yes, I love your vintage stereo system. What kind of amp and receiver do you have? So, I have a Marantz 2220 receiver. That is the kind I have. It's a 70s silver face Marantz, Dennis. And then my speakers are 1960s university speakers. I believe they only made them 1 year. Hi, Delbert. Welcome in. Good to see you. All right. Ask away anything else you think of. We are now going to go into the closet. We do have enough battery, so thank you for hanging out while that happened. And let's turn this around. This is my closet. Now, this is another example of a small space that I have absolutely decided to turn into a little vintage store. That was kind of my dream, to have a closet that felt very much like a men's haberdashery store, like old wood. Think Ralph Lauren. That was kind of the style and inspiration for this space. And I'm really a big believer, as you guys have probably heard throughout the tour, of surrounding yourself with things that bring you joy. But also spaces like closets get wildly underlooked because they become spaces where you're just storing something or you're just getting dressed, and that's fine, but why not, if you've got the space to do it, why not make it a little jewel box of a space that you can enjoy every time you're in here? So anyway, that's what I've done. I have my grandfather's childhood mirror from his bedroom. That was kind of the first piece that really made this space feel very warm and cozy. And then these dressers are just, I mean, this, besides the couch, the Chesterfield couch, these Art Deco dressers are probably one of the best things to this date that I have found. I got these for $200 for the pair. And I got these at a little thrift store in St. Augustine, and they are just gorgeous. This one is like a skyscraper, and it has a little door that opens here in the front. And then these have little drawers, and then big drawers in the bottom, and then a bigger drawer that opens up down here. And then this one has a drawer that comes out in the middle, that and doors that open, and then these little drawers on the side with the little inserts here. So I'm just tickled to have these. I think they are great. This piece here in my closet is the newest thing I found. This came from my friend Ruben. It is an old watchmaker's cabinet. But what I've done with it is I've turned it into my cufflink drawer. So all of my cufflinks are safely stored now. And I have them sort of arranged by type, if you will. So these are all my like figural cufflinks. So like I have New York City here. I have the globes. I've got these wonderful little Arc de Triomphe dichroic glass cufflinks. I have the castles. Like if you ever thought a castle could be a cufflink, well, here it is. Little artist palettes, mini Mickey Mouse, whatever. Phones, little vintage princess phones, cameras. This is all kind of Art Deco or brutalist style of cufflinks in here. And then I have all kinds of stone and unique design cufflinks up here. These are some of my favorite. These are sterling and malachite cufflinks, and I do wear these guys. I love suits, and I have French cuff shirts, and I every chance I get, I wear cufflinks. So I've got spaces for more in here. These are also fun. I got a pair of these at a flea market. And these are Art Deco cigarette boxes that I keep some of my shirt studs in. So these are really fun. And then I also have my grandfather's up here. This is my brooch cabinet, which you guys have seen many times. I have my grandfather's paper airplane trophy, which is just so cool that he won in 1942 paper airplane contest. So that's kind of a fun piece. And then I have a collection of all kinds of little things I've just picked up everywhere. These two pieces came from the Art Deco Museum. This is a Bakelite domino that's been turned into a brooch, and this is an Art Deco cigarette lighter. And this came from George, the antique nomad, and then his buddy Dave. This is one of his advertising pieces. These were my great grandfather's cufflinks in the box. My grandma had that little 4-leaf clover piece that I have. And then this is my brooch collection. This is the paparazzi drawer. Angela, dear sweet Angela, I think she's still in the chat. She made me this little artist trading card that I keep in here, which is just so cool. And let's see, this is my little gallery wall I've created in here. I have vintage shoe molds. I have this really cool beer advertisement with the guy with the top hat, which I just thought was perfect for in here. That came from Dave as well. And then this is one of my favorite pieces. It's a bowling shirt display for the Aristocrat of Bowling Shirts by Hilton. And the guy has a little top hat on. And this would have been like a rack, the topper to a clothing rack. So you can see where the bowling shirts would have been hung, which I think is cool. Now, I have had to get kind of creative in here because there aren't any outlets, probably for good reason. But like I did in my entryway, I ran cords, extension cords from my bathroom. You can see that little cord there runs all the way around behind here so that I can turn on my vintage lamps because I am that extra. Ooh, this one doesn't. I guess the plug came undone. I'll have to get under here and check the plug. But that way these lamps can come on at night when I'm getting dressed. Um, Now, this is a fun piece. I added this to the top. It's not actually part of this dresser. And I'm going to give you guys a chance to see if you can guess what this is. It has mirrors on either side and then these curious little drawers. So I'll see in the chat if you guys know what this is. But it is so fun. Yes. All the drawers are organized. That was my fun project. Well, when Louie was not well and she was kind of stuck bedridden for a while, I would put her on the bed in the little kennel you guys saw while she was resting her back. And that's what I started doing was she could still see me, but I would bring out one of these drawers and I'd start organizing my cufflinks. um, 4 collars. Good. Okay, good guess, but nope. Nope. You would think it has something to do with clothes, but it doesn't. This is actually a dental cabinet, and it was made for veneers of teeth. And I know that sounds so weird, but yep, the different veneers for the teeth would be in here, but I have used it to store all of my tie bars. So, like, I've got this fun one with the little bowling guy. I have this one is a tiki. Ooh, if I don't drop him, holy, hang on, if I don't drop him, he's a little tiki man. There's all kinds of tie bars. Angela got me that one. So in all of these little drawers, and I wish I had them a little bit better organized, but there isn't really a way the way these drawers are made. Look at that telephone. Isn't that fun? Different companies. Oh, this is cool. This is Mr. Zip. And he was the advertisement to tell people about the invention of the zip code in 1963. So I found a little tie bar with him that I guess the male guys would wear. So Mr. Zip, there he is. And then fun things. So yeah, lots of different tie bars people have given me or I've collected in here. But it is fun. Yeah, false teeth. Now this is a great piece. This little guy here, the little Coca-Cola bear, his name is Polly. I have had him since I was a kid. This is my childhood bear. My mom brought him back from New York City when she was pregnant with me. She found him at the Coke store on Fifth Avenue, and he sat in my mom's room, and then I got him when I was a kid. And I loved him so much. He was never allowed out of the house. And I am grateful that my mom made that rule because to this day we still have Polly. He never got lost anywhere. But my mom was so creative that when I was a kid, I had stuffed animals, of course, like any kid does. And my mom thought it'd be fun to have a presidential race for the best stuffed animal of our household. So my mom made Photoshop had just come out, and my mom was excited. She made a Photoshop um, unique poster with Polly on it and I think a raccoon. And it was Polly and the raccoon went up against each other, and Polly won for president. So I will always have that great memory of my mom making something special for me. But Polly sits here. He is great. Mr. Zip. Yes. All right, lots of other fun things in this little room, but this is my little fun closet space. I love all these little hat organizers. These are just inexpensive. They came from Amazon, but they're great for fedoras. So I just hung them here. You do lose some closet space in terms of being able to hang clothes, but I think it just really makes an impact when you come in because it feels like a store. And then these are wonderful. My dad got me these, has been getting me these for Christmas. These are by a company called Brackish. They are out of, I think, Charleston, but they make these wonderful bow ties made out of different feathers, and they tell you what feathers they are. Uh, I know this one has a tag somewhere, but they're very cool. So I don't get to wear them every day, but now I have a tuxedo shirt so I can wear them. This one has peacock pheasant feathers in it. So they make a great gift if you're looking for someone. They make bracelets and earrings too, the Brackish company. And then up here, I have some things that I've just kind of been working on this display. Let me know what you guys think. I'm not completely happy with this yet, but that's the fun is I get to kind of keep playing. So every time I'm in here, I'm like, ooh, what could I do differently? Now, my latest thing is I bought this wonderful briefcase from a lady in town who knew the guy that owned Barnett Bank, which may not mean much to you guys, but if you're from Jacksonville, Barnett Bank is like a very old bank. And William Barnett, this was his actual briefcase he took to work. So it has his initials on it and his original business cards inside. And I was thinking it would be really great stacked on top of this suitcase over here. But if I do that, the hat will no longer fit because of the height with the ceiling. So right now I have it on these old hat boxes. So I'm kind of thinking about rearranging, but ideas on this would be great. I have some wonderful things I picked up from Brooks Brothers when they were closing. They use a lot of antique and vintage things in their store. So I got that antique silver trophy bowl from them. I think it was $5. And then I bought this beautiful vintage antique, I should say, suitcase with the monogram also for $5 from them. So that's a little hack. If a store is closing and they decorate with vintage, see if you can buy some of their vintage displays. That suitcase was made for Brooks Brothers for their store. And I'm not sponsored by them or anything, obviously. I just like their quality of their shirts. So I thrift a lot of Brooks Brothers shirts. I look for them. These are some of the French cuff shirts that I wear. I just love their good quality. I just found this for $2. And in the vintage shop, it's Brooks Brothers. So anyway, a lot of my shirts are thrifted. I look for that kind of thing. I also have this wonderful little mid-century piece that, can you guys see it? It's a valet stand. I can actually sit on here to put on my shoes. And the back lifts up and I can store stuff inside of it. And then I have an English biscuit or cake tea server. This thing completely folds, it inverts like that. And you can put, well, it was for cakes and teas and things, but I use it for cufflinks and various fun things. So yes, that's my closet. Just put the hat on top of the hat boxes. Yeah, just switch them. That's smart. Have a fabric runner that hangs over to describe. Actually, Tontic, hi Christy. Yeah, that's a great idea. Because I really do. Oh, tell us about the CBS cufflinks. Yes, I will. I really do hate the white rack, but it comes with apartments, so I try to do what I can to make the apartment a little more vintage feeling. Yeah, someone asked about the CBS cufflinks. So my grandfather, the one I told you that owned, my great grandfather owned the radio station, and in 1960, 65, 64, I think they got a television station. So they had KFES TV and they had KFES radio. Well, KFES was a CBS affiliate, so they got all kinds of CBS stuff. And they would go down to the CBS conventions, which were very elaborate. A lot of times they were hosted in California. So my grandmother remembers sitting in the same room as Lucille Ball, all these famous stars, because they would debut basically the television lineup for that upcoming year. So they got to do some pretty cool things. And Grandpa would get gifts all the time from CBS. And these are his cufflinks. So I have that is one really cool thing. I also have his shooter marbles here and his tie clip, some fun things. But I also have this CBS tray, which is all, I think it's copper over enamel. I love this tray. And then I have this one. That's the color CBS, but that um, in this space, I think that I'll share with you guys two things actually. Is this watch right here? This has a great story behind it. My other grandfather, the one that was the pastor, he wore this watch every day. Ever since I'd known Papa, he had this little Mickey watch on. And I never knew why he wore the watch. I just thought, he got it when we were at Disney when I was little or something to that effect. But my dad later told me that there was a time in which the Southern Baptist Convention was very, very much against Disney. And my grandfather thought it was wrong to judge people. And so he wore that as sort of a silent protest every day from the pulpit. So I did not know that story, and I don't want to get into any type of political or religious discussions here, but I just think the story behind it is very cool. My grandfather sticking up for something that he believed in and wearing this as a silent protest. And now I have this watch is just incredibly special to me. So that's cool. And then someone asked earlier about the bookstore I went to visit when I was in Utah, Moon's Rare Books. This is what I bought from Moon's Rare Books. I bought this beautiful copy of Shakespeare's work with the marble foredge painting. And they did the wax seal. They wrapped it up with their little wax seal. And I have all the things from Moon's books. This was purchased from England. It's from 1803, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It has some pictures in it. There's Mr. Moon. He is awesome. If you don't follow him, you'll learn so much. He is great on Instagram or TikTok. I think he's in both. But there's some wonderful pictures of different places around the world, Shakespeare's birthplace in Stratford on Avon. Yeah, it's just a gorgeous book. So I'm very grateful to have that. Um, Patrick, who used to watch KFVS, says he thinks they became an affiliate. Oh, yeah, in 1950. That's cool, Rachel. My battery's good, Nick. Thank you for checking in. Yeah, so beautiful Shakespearean copy that I bought. I'm a big theater nerd, and Shakespeare is obviously a favorite of mine. So it felt right to get that of all the books that Mr. Moon had. Um, so yeah, any more questions or things about items in my closet, just let me know while we're here. And then I'll show you the clocks and we'll wrap up this tour because I know you guys have been on for almost 3 hours. Oh my gosh, there's so much to share. Like this antique washstand that is by my shower that I just love. I have a lot of fun things in my space. So feel free to ask questions or want to take a look at anything else. Do let me know. This is the clocks I was going to tell you about. Somebody asked earlier about the piece that shocked me the most, being that the history on it was shocking. And this is one of the West Clock cardboard war alarms that I have, which I think is really cool. I also have a mystery clock. This was done by the Haddock Company. So there was, I should say, the Jefferson Mystery Clock, with which all of you guys probably have seen and know about. And then Haddock Mystery Clocks made another type of clock. They were one of the other makers of mystery clocks. Well, somebody won this as a trophy in 1955. I've never seen another one, and has a pigeon on the back. Check this out. Isn't he cool? So he's got a pigeon attached. There's a pigeon attached to this mystery clock with an average speed. So I don't know what this was for, but I think it's cool. And I have this, which is a very, very cool Ingram alarm clock. It's the penguin with the little penguin on him. He is so cute. I love that alarm clock. I think it's just wonderful. None of these clocks particularly work. My moonbeam clock does work, and it scared the tar out of me one night. I had it plugged in by my bed in my other apartment. And the funny thing about these clocks is that they were advertised to be gentle when they would wake you up, because they're supposed to wake you up like the sun rising. No. This clock, I think it's because it's older. Its alarm system was much louder than advertised. It came on at like 3 in the morning, and not only did it flash like there was, a fire going on, it also went so loud. I jumped out of bed. Thought I had a heart attack, that thing. So it no longer lives in my bedroom. This lovely little clock lives out here and it stays unplugged. It sounds like a pigeon racing. Oh, could be a homing pigeon. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. That's cool. Katie, by chance, do you need a complete standard dictionary? I have two, and I think they're both from the 40s. They are huge. Well, I don't know if I need a dictionary, but I'll never say no to a dictionary. I will always find a home for something. So, yes, here are my wonderful little collections of clocks on my grandparents' table. This was down in their basement, which, if you've ever been in a basement, some people may not be basement people, but basements to me, especially with my experience growing up. Basements are some of the coziest, most wonderful spaces in the world. And we would play cards down there and watch TV and have milk and cookies and all the wonderful things when I was growing up. So I love basements, but I love that cozy feeling of a basement. So that's also sort of the inspiration behind a lot of the things here is coziness. Oh, be careful what you wish for. Well, you never know, Rachel. I will find a home for almost anything. Well, guys, thank you so much. I think I'm going to wrap up this tour here. If there's anything that I didn't cover and that you saw in the tour and you're like, I want to know more about that, but I skipped over it, please let me know. Leave a comment, or if you mention it quickly, I can show it to you. I appreciate it. Man, 60 of you are still here. That is absolutely amazing to me. And that means the world that you guys are so interested in all the little things I have to share, which isn't much, um, but it's fun, and I've enjoyed learning about it and adding to this little wonderful space of mine. So I have enjoyed sharing all the stories and the things, um, and they're just fun. Being surrounded by antiques. There's a coziness and a warmth to it, and it just feels so safe and secure and happy. So I certainly enjoy it, and I'm glad to share it with people that just understand, you know really, really understand. So, and enjoyed sharing. Thank you, Dennis, Amy, Helen, Karen, Raven, everyone, Lisa that's been in, Rachel. Angela was in earlier. I saw Christy, Pam, Karen. I mean, I can't mention everybody, but thank you all for being in and hanging out with us. And I will be back this Saturday for another sale. My mom will have one of her fabulous pieces, which I showed earlier, that will be available. And we'll have some great brooches. Oh, somebody did ask to see the Coke wall. Is the person that asked to see the Coke wall still in here? I can show that off before I wrap things up, I think. Yes. Oh, 4 bedrooms. Oh, yeah. uh The 3 bedroom has been great though. Oh yes, Karen. Okay. Going to the Coke wall. I can show you that. Now, please keep in mind this is real life. My office is a mess. I'm in the middle of reorganizing. So I don't mind to show it, but just, it's a little crazy at the moment because we're going through some stuff here. So, okay, let's see, turn around the camera. Here we go. So this is the room that you guys are probably most familiar with because you see it on my live sales. This is all of my Coca-Cola trays um, and things. This is the little cart that I have by me almost every sale. You guys know Betty. You guys see all of our little props here. And I've got this big wire spool in here that I salvaged when I was moving into this building because it was just being built. And it's a perfect little table back here. I've got my excuse me, my grandparents had this in their house, this little wall barrister bookcase. I have, yeah, this is the chaos that is this room right now, y'all. These wonderful lockers I hauled from a salvage yard. They were a pain in the patoot to get up here. They weigh like 1,000 pounds. But I love them and they're very useful for storage. My friend had to get another person we knew in the building to get them in. Man, getting these home, I had to roll up the front seats of my car. I would never do this again. It was probably not the best, but I got it here. So, end the story on that one. But we had to push the front seats up really far to get this in my car. And we had it, the bungee cords and all kinds of things to hold down my trunk. And my friend and I drove this across the bridge. And the crazy things I've hauled home, let me just tell you. So yeah, that's fun. And then I haven't done like this space really needs more on the wall. I haven't done enough with it yet. This is still a work in progress, really, to be honest with you guys. Um, but this is another one of those cool mid-century brutalist clocks. This one's made by New Haven. So I'm really, really glad that I have the whole set with the clock and the wall sconces. Yes. Oh, I won't be moving for that room is the business. Yes. This is my workspace. So this is where you guys see all the things from the sales. And I'm working on getting everything packed up from Saturday. These are all of the glue guns, the thousands of glue guns that we have here that we do all of the wonderful boxes on. And I just got some new shipment of boxes and things to unpack. So exciting stuff, exciting stuff. But this is my little workspace. So yeah, it is a disaster right now, but it is in full cleaning mode. Yes. All right. Yeah, that's the only thing, Dennis, that isn't really vintage in my apartment. So I try everything that I have, I try to have vintage. I know that's silly, it's impossible, but that couch is not old, but it is perfect for that space. And my grandmother can sit on it and tie the ribbons and do her little things. We bring a little table in there, and my mom and I can work at that table, and she's there. So it's just perfect for the space, and it's very comfortable. Yeah. There is still wall space. Yes, Nick, indeed there is. Uh, all right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. Karen, I didn't know if you had any specific questions about the tray or you just wanted trays or you just wanted to see the room, but there it is. Yeah, they're great. They're the wax seal glue guns. They're sold specifically, I think, as wax seal guns. I found them on Amazon. I'm trying to think of the company. I can picture the logo, but they're awesome, and we can have I don't know infinite number of colors to play with, and they're very very fun. So I love them. They work great. But we'll see you guys on Saturday. And yeah, for the wax seals. Well, I used to actually pour the wax seals by hand. I had a candle and I would melt all your wax, any of the early packages you got from me. It was just me on my little kitchen island with a little wax, pot and the candle and pellets, wax pellets. That's what I call them. I don't know if that's their official name, but I would pour all, and man, that took forever. It was fun, but I was like, man, I'll be here 10 years. So I found the glue guns, and then my mom, being such a creative individual and an art major, it was like, oh, we can now have infinite number of colors, and we can do marbling, and we can do that. So we got totally into the wax sealing, and it is so much fun. So my mom and I have a good time. But thank you guys so much. Man, we've been on 3 hours and 48 of you are still here, which is awesome. I'm going to let you guys go get some rest. If you have any questions, pop them down into the comments of the stream. And I will see you all on Saturday for another fantastic collection of items coming to sale. And as always, I hope you'll save that vintage, spin that vinyl, and binge YouTube. Bye bye, everyone.